What is up, my gamers in Christ? How are we doing today? Today is the date of July 30th of 2026. Today we are here again to debate those that still support this failure, truly failure of an administration, ladies and gentlemen. We are here like many of our scholars before us, you know, the greats. The greats. What's up, Final Hero? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Anyways, we are going to be debating. My apologies. I haven't been on my phone all day. Been a little busy. As you can tell, I voted early, so civic duties, ladies and gentlemen. Civic duties. Looks like Bill just beat me there. He beat me to the punchline. Can you believe that? Anyways, folks, feel free to call in. Let me get my number up here. Give me about 5.10 seconds. What elections? Oh, the Kansas State primary. Sorry, one sec. I feel like this is a little loud. The Kansas State Democratic primary. Seems late for a primary. Yeah, unfortunately, we do ours pretty late. Or at least we did this year. But that's alright. I proudly voted for Dan for state senator. Here, I'll bring up his, I was convinced of his primary. I thought it was good. Or I'm convinced. I think he has what it takes. I think he has what it takes. Hold on, I can't find his website for some reason. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are new here, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. State or federal? Federal. Hey, a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people currently hate Roger Marshall, who is our current federal representative. I'm kind of disappointed with Jerry Moran. At first, hey, what's up, Tech Priest Farquad? Good to see you. At first, I thought, you know, Jerry Moran's not too bad. No, Jerry Moran... If you vote for the Save America Act, it's over. I'm not gonna give you flowers. Is that the Mr. Beat endorsed one? No, he's my own endorsed. I'm endorsing him right now. It's actually, I'm pretty sure it's early voting for us. Or I did early voting. I'm pretty sure I did. Anyways. Here, I got his campaign. I have not turned on my call-in sign. What am I doing? Gosh, what a loser. God, what a loser. Anyways. Why, I said damn. I meant Damon. Damon. He also goes by Dan, by the way. In case you were wondering. But, yeah, he's a pretty cool dude. He, something for me personally is you have to oppose Citizens United. And that's right front and center on his campaign, ladies and gentlemen. Dan, you fuck? I know, right? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call in. Oh, let me get the donation. Shout out to Aussie Welder. Donating $10 last night. I appreciate that. That is super based. They're patriots. I tell it all the time. If you donate to the channel, you're a patriot, ladies and gentlemen. You love democracy. You do. You love democracy if you donate to this channel. If you don't, that's all right too. But if you do, you love democracy. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, why the frowny face, Tech Priest Farquad? What's up, SBC, good to see you. We got the yo-yos in chat. Yo, yo, yo. Ukraine supports America and Israel. Russia supports Iran and Palestine. No, you think, hold on. So, okay, I love this. So this person thinks if, for example, we let go of Israel, right? They would literally just go to Russia. And Israel and Russia have very strong ties too. And would essentially allow the bombing of Palestinians unfettered. At least we have protests here. Imagine if there was a protest in Russia. Know why you don't hear about them too much? They call it the Russian Special. They call it the Russian Special. The Russian Special Elections, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. Anyways, folks, feel free to call in if you guys disagree. We are looking for those that somehow disagree with what I have to say. Anyways, sorry, let me turn my live chat on. I hate live versus top chat. How dare they? How dare they? Yeah, that was a little weird. Anyways, folks, if you guys disagree, feel free to call in. We do like to have good faith debates here, ladies and gentlemen. But sometimes we get a little silly, okay? Sometimes we get a little bit silly. I think that should be allowed. Blanche wasn't confirmed. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Hey, what's up, Trash Juice? Getting in here early today. Getting in here early. We love to see it. We love to see it. Anyways, folks, if you guys support the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, if you guys are feeling extra patriotic today, feel free to buy a super chat or a membership. Memberships are great ways to keep a consistent revenue flow on the channel. And super chats are great to get your message across. You know what I'm saying? Quite frankly, Jesus. Quite frankly, we love to see it, folks. It's absolutely amazing. We love it. We really do. Blanche came home blank. Poor guy. Poor guy. Anyways, folks, feel free to call in. Never trust a Democrat with our borders again. What are you talking about? Our borders started to become very secure once Biden started tackling the border like you guys asked. We went from 300,000 to 60,000. Trump's Trump change. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Am I a biological female lesbian? No, I'm a biological male. And if you have any more questions about my genitalia, ask your mom last night. Ask your mom about last night, I should say. Thank God for President Trump. Hey, what's up, Leah? Good to see you. Anyways, folks, if you guys are enjoying the stream, do not forget to like and subscribe. It really gets the channel boosted out there in these dark times of shadow bannery. Listen, we got some dark shadow bans going on, ladies and gentlemen. The Council of Rightoids has declared me a heretic. A heretic of the highest degree. And so therefore we need to boost the likes, boost the subs, but I always feel like a silly goose when I ask for that stuff. So thank you. I appreciate you guys so much, by the way. I hope you guys know that. I hope you guys know that, okay? If you don't know that, then that's going to make me pretty sad. Oh, we got the signature bot right here. One Tom Bomb Bad 1 says, following culture in the news of politics is neurotic. He always comes in here once a day to say that, and then he just sits back and watches. Very much cuck-like behavior, but you can't help them, guys. If they want to be cucks, that is their own decision. There's nothing we can do about it. I know, I want to help them too. What do you propose we do about it, folks? What the hell do you propose we do about it? How does one not follow culture or news? I'm pretty sure you dig a hole, and what you do after you dig that hole is you put your head in it, right? Friends and hobbies. You do your friends? Whoa, man. That's breaking a barrier, in my opinion. Like, you know, that's breaking a barrier. You shouldn't do your friends. You should just be friends. MAGA needs to pay a fine. I disagree with that. They're already paying the fine, man. You seen the prices of groceries recently? They're already paying the fine. They're already doing it. Am I right, folks? Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and sub. It does help out the channel. MAGA supports a PDF? WTF? Yeah, I know. That's super weird, isn't it? Why don't they demand the release of the files, ladies and gentlemen? Is it that hard? I mean, personally, I think it's quite an injustice that the Trump administration is committing here by not doing what the Congress has voted for. That's your representative. That is your vote that the administration is willfully ignoring. All for what? For what, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, what's up, Ozzy Welder? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I look like JD Vance. I am actually JD Advanced. Thank you for the compliment. Well, I don't know if JD Vance is necessarily a looker, but that's all right. That's all right. Hey, his wife loves him. His wife loves him. Although MAGA does not like his wife. That is something to be noted. His wife may love him, but they don't love her. Anyways, folks, feel free to call in. His couch loves him. That's true. You know what? At least if his wife leaves him, at least he has that couch to go back to every night. Good on him, you know? Good on him. Ain't nothing more beautiful than a man and his couch. Ain't nothing more beautiful. Anyways, folks, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and sub. Tyrannical government bad, but voter suppression, secret police, surveillance state good. Yeah, that's kind of like the equation, you know? The term useful ignorant idiot originates from Islamic regime. Wait a minute. Listen to what this idiot here is saying, all right? Listen to what this actual Neanderthal just said in my chat, all right? Gather around the campfire, folks. Get, put your mitts up to the fire. The term useful idiot originates from the Islamic regime, when they killed all the homosexuals after using them as political tools to take over Afghanistan. They were used and disposed just like you soon. Weirdo, bro. Yeah, so that's not where the term useful idiot came from. That's an interesting theory on where you think that term came from. Bro, think about that. Think about that, bro. That's fucking insane that dude just said that. Do you actually... There's no way you believe that. Like, this is a meme. That's definitely a meme. You'd have to be a real dumbass to believe that. And I believe in the YouTube Shorts community. I believe in you guys, okay? Why is Fauci even being bothered? So Trump is failing and they need something to distract the people. They need something to distract the people while Donald Trump fails to improve the economy, fails to live up to his campaign promises, you know. Normal Trump stuff. Unfortunately. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and sub. Hey, what's up, Jason? How are you doing today? Fauci is the scapegoat. Yeah, it's all because of Trump, guys. Think about that. Who was in charge? Who was in charge during the beginning of COVID? Who was it? Was it Kamala Harris? No. Was it Joe Biden? No. Was it Mike Pence? Ooh, close. He was vice president. Oh, it was Donald Trump. Dummy. Silly goose. But it's like we kind of forgot about that, which is sad. Or I didn't forget about it, but unfortunately my fellow Americans did. But that's all right. That's all right. We can right the wrongs soon, folks. And we will. If I was a Republican, I would seriously be sweating. Because while you guys selfishly sold out our democracy, a lot of Democrats have been thinking about what we're going to be able to do once we gain power. And we, not only when we gain power, but we need to sustain power. Like you guys do. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are so comfortable fucking with our democracy when it comes to the court, when it comes to people's rights. So, you know, I think it's only fair that we try to get a sustained democratic power for at least the next, I don't know, decade. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. You guys fucked up our democracy, so you guys don't get to have power for a little bit. Now, of course you can win, but it's just the people aren't going to want to elect you after Trump, after the disaster that Trump was. But I guess you guys will see. I guess they'll just have to wait and see, folks. Unfortunately, MAGA they've got the short attention and memory. Memory of a goldfish, some would say. Memory of a goldfish. MAGA are seriously ill, weak, small-minded, gullible individuals. Amen. Reading is hard. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. I can read with best of them. I read with the best of them, actually. They say I'm the smartest person in the world, believe it or not. If you didn't hear about that, it's your fault. Should have heard about it. Should have went on the World Wide Web. Get a hair transplant? I like being bald, but maybe. I never said that, John Cena. That's an interesting position, though. You want to leave Maduro alone? I mean, that guy, he was a bad Brad, ladies and gentlemen. He was a bad dude. Not a nice guy. Not a nice guy. I don't know anybody defending Maduro, but maybe you do. Must be a weird set of circles you're running in for that. Anyways, folks, if you guys want to watch me review some of the most rightoid content out there, consider sending a donation or buying a membership. Both are great ways to support our democracy here. And folks, just feel free to call in. My number is right there. I feel like these poor MAGA are so used to just screaming at each other that they, I don't know, they don't know how to call? That's not good. That is not good. Maybe there should be a program once we get in power to, like, help teach tech literacy to MAGA. I think it might be pretty beneficial, actually. I think that would actually be very good. We'll get a teacher. They'll teach you all the ins and outs. Media literacy 101. People, okay, the first lesson has to be people can lie. Whoa! They're going to be shocked when they see Donald Trump. They're going to be like, what? He can lie? That's insane. I had no idea. It's okay. It's okay. We know. We know. Anyways, folks, feel free to like and subscribe. It does help out the channel. Get me boosted out there in the algorithm in these trying times. Man, you're so dumb. Dems have ruined the country. With DEI. Ladies and gentlemen, DEI is ruining the country, or had ruined the country until Trump came along. You guys love DEI. Don't even pretend like you don't. You're literally putting Lindsey Graham's sister in place of an actual candidate. And she's most likely to win. That's fucking insane. No merit. No merit. What was... Oh, I believe in merit. I want merit. I believe in merit. Yeah, right. You guys are so embarrassing. We know you don't believe in merit. We know. You believe in saying that person's the problem rather than actually looking inward and seeing what the issues within our democracy are. And there are some. But that doesn't mean that... doesn't give you guys free leeway to just basically ignore it, which is what they do so often. You know, a lot of the times you ask these guys, how do you pass a bill? They've never watched Schoolhouse Rock. It's insane. I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill. You ever heard of it? Well, apparently MAGA hasn't. And, you know, I have had to bust out I'm just a bill a couple times. A couple times for these numbskulls. But, you know, at least they're learning. At least they're learning. Put their mind towards something more constructive than the Jews owning everything. That's one of their favorites. Yo, what's up, Finns? How are you doing today? I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill. Wanna come along, though I hope and pray that someday. But for now, I am still just a bill. God, it's so fire. Honestly, they were cooking when they thought of that one. They were cooking. Democrats want to castrate your kids. That's weird. I don't support that. If you're talking to Democrats that do want to castrate children, I would refer them to the local psych ward. That's insane. Listen, my friend, I know there's been a lot of lies spread about the Democratic Party by Fox News and even some of our own. But I am here to dismiss the rumors. I am here to break through and show you guys that the best party to vote for is Democrats. I don't know why, but my chat keeps disconnecting and reconnecting. It's kind of weird. Hopefully that does not mean that I am dying. That would be bad. That would be bad. Anyways, folks, feel free to call in. Tell me why I'm wrong. Otherwise, we're just going to be talking about politics, which, hey, if you guys like to hearing about politics, that's this is the good channel for you. Democrats suck, just not as bad as the Republicans. No, what sucks about the Democrats? I mean, I do have my complaints, but compared to the Republican Party, yeesh. Yeesh. I'll sit that one out. You know what I mean? No, thank you. The Republicans are such scumbags too, because they love to play on people's fear. They want us to be afraid of every little thing under the sun, and so that way they can conglomerate their power even more. It's so sad when I see my fellow Americans falling for it. How's BLM? Well, BLM kind of got what they wanted. There have been less shootings of unarmed black people in America, so we got a president that wasn't racist? I don't know, man. IDK, fam. Anyways, folks, thank you for the jewels. I appreciate that. One moment, let me reload my chat. Something's going on. Someone's trying to hack into the mainframe. You're delusional. I can't listen to you. Isn't that what you want, though? Don't you want the black people to stop being loud? Isn't that what you want, man? Why aren't you like, fuck yeah? Oh, probably because you're racist. And you do like that because you like when people are upset with the system and making making their voices known. Because secretly you want something to complain about. And it's so obvious. It's so obvious, right? They just want something to complain about. Anything. They miss the days of BLM. Because at least in BLM, at least they had something to talk about. They're so bored. Like, listen, hear them talk about, like, if you listen to a lot of MAGA try to talk about politics, it's so sad. It's so sad. It's like, it really is. I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill. The stats on cop shootings hasn't changed since BLM? Really? Well, I have data that would beg to differ on that. I can bring it up real quick. Bum. Bum. Sorry, guys. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out this channel. All right. So this goes to 2020. This goes to 2024. That kind of blows. That kind of blows. Well, it did. Okay, so it decreased in 2024 at 545 deaths in total. Which is a lower rate than the previous years. As a matter of fact, it's down to 2017 statistics. Even lower. So in 2024, we did see a decrease. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. Liberalism is terrorism. What our nation was founded on is terrorism, guys. Whoa. That's crazy. Like, actually, that's insane. We're all teist. We're all teist, guys. Hey, what's up, fragile white masculinity? And hey, what's good, Anthony? Hope you're doing well. Anyways, folks, don't forget to like and subscribe. See what the liberal, it's not liberal. We need to do what the rightoids want to do to us right now, ladies and gentlemen, is they're trying to silence this media. They're trying to say your voices don't matter. We're just trying to have an open discussion. We're trying to talk about the bare essentials of our democracy. And they don't want you to know that. They do not want you to know about the facts. And the facts are that Donald Trump is a stinker. All right? You take that home. You tell your parents. Donald Trump is a stinker. The Cyclops was woke. Yeah, I know. That's my favorite one. The Cyclops from the Odyssey was woke. No! I would have loved to seen a Chud's reaction to like, well, we don't have to wait to see. If you guys like seeing somebody make fun of Chuds in their basement, make sure to check out my morning streams. We've been having a good time there. Folks, this is a sad showing for MAGA, and again, it's because the conservative media environment does not want me to exist. Chat on my end is disconnecting and reconnecting a lot today too. It must be an ion storm.
Bill.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to answer Bill. Something tells me Bill might not be real. Let's see. Oh, he hung up, folks. Poor guy. Well, that's unfortunately what happens a lot of time with the MAGA. You know, they call in and then the nerves are starting to get to them. Oh, geez, you know, I'm scared. And then they leave. Not surprising. Not surprising at all, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't blame him, talking to an alpha male like me. A sigma, if you will. Some would even say a gamma. Actually, I'm a gamma level male. If you didn't know, I'm a gamma level male. When I call, it rings busy. Well, that seems like it must be a problem with your own thing, because I'm not busy. We're live, folks. We're live and ready. Republicans, for some reason, are back to talking about ivermectin. I know. Well, it's because Fauci exercised his Fifth Amendment right. That's got them all in a tizzy. Now, anytime they complain about that, just show them the video of Trump pleading the Fifth consistently. That should shut him up pretty quick.
Call from
Bill.
Bill. Hey, Bill, how are you doing today? I'm doing well. So did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far? Okay, what would that be? Okay, so what's up with Black Lives Matter?
Well, just to like full circle things, right? I am not a Democrat. I think a lot of their things they have supported over the last 5 to 6 years now have really taken a lot of damage to our society.
What would that
and I
be?
think
Like you're saying the Democrats specifically?
Well, I think their positioning as far as like what they're supporting. So I think one of those things, an example of that would be an organization like Black Lives Matter.
Okay, so Black Lives Matter, what did they get brought up on any terrorist charges or anything like that?
No.
Listen, Black Lives Matter because some organization set up an event that got violent, that doesn't mean that's the Democrats' fault. Do you disagree that Black lives don't matter? All lives matter, right? All lives matter. And so if one specific race wants to celebrate the fact that they don't have to be under the oppression that they used to be, who cares?
Well, I think that's maybe where we disagree. I think if that was the case and they were truly just out there celebrating,
well, no, they were
how
protesting
far they have
too.
come.
I did mischaracter. They were protesting for sure, but that was because of the brutal killing of George Floyd.
So are you saying that as an organization, if Black Lives Matter came out today and
Right.
we knew kind of where it was starting and where it was going to end, right? Hindsight's
Where it
2020.
was
You
starting
you
and
looking
where it's
back.
going to end. What do you mean?
Well, the organization started as, yes, we are protesting what happened to George Floyd,
Is
which is
there
what you
any
said, right?
well, is there any evidence that they're like planning out terroristic plots or anything?
No, not at all.
Okay, so
No,
like
they're not a terrorist organization. I'm not
yeah, I know,
implying
but I
that.
don't really see what your issue is with them then. If they're not like active, like just because they had some, and again, Black Lives Matter is so like 2020, like 2020, honestly. But if you have a problem with like the fact that their riots got, rowdy and a lot of, property did get burnt down. There's about 40 buildings that did get destroyed. And that's nothing to make light of, but if you're compare it like and you're saying the Democrats are responsible for it. Or at least you're listing this as one of the reasons that you don't like the Democrats, and I just don't see the relation.
Well, kind of what I said at the very beginning was I can give you a few different groups and thought-provoking communities that the Democratic Party has stood behind through the last 5 to 6 years, and I
Okay,
think
what
there's
about the
been
Proud Boys?
detrimental
Yeah,
damage
we can
to
both do
society
well, we
as a
can both
whole
do this
from
game,
those
right?
organizations.
Well, we
And
can both
BLM
do
was
this
one of
game.
just a few different examples of that.
Okay, well, here, you brought up one example, so I'll bring up an example of how the Republicans don't condemn their very own.
Before
What
we
about the
move on,
Proud
though,
Boys?
would you agree with what I said
No.
about BLM as a whole?
No, not at all. You're
So
very
if you
much
could go back
mischaracter.
and
I
switch,
asked them if you thought they were a terrorist organization, and you said no. What
they're
else would they
definitely
be?
not.
What else would they be? If why should we limit their freedom of gathering and freedom of speech? That's what
Well,
you're
again,
like, you
it's
won't
the societal.
what does the condemning
No, no,
mean?
no.
And the
It's
societal
the
damage. Like what
societal.
societal
It's
damage has
societal
been
impact
done?
that it has had on society, and that the Democratic Party chose to back an organization that basically reframed how society actually is and
Bro, that is
portrayed
so,
how
but it did
society
not
is.
reframe how society is.
It absolutely did.
COVID did. COVID definitely is one of the big leading factors as to why people feel isolated and stuff like that. But if you're saying Black
Absolutely.
Lives Matter completely refigured American society, well, I've got some bad news for you. It
I
didn't.
didn't say it completely refigured
That's
society.
literally
I
what
said it
you
was a
just said.
detrimental impact on
What
society.
was the
Please do not
detrimental impact?
portray
What
my
was the
words how I
impact?
do not say them.
Okay, so what was the detrimental impact? Let's start
Well,
there.
you have already stated the riots were terrible, right? A lot
Okay,
of
well,
people
people have
lost their
insurance,
businesses.
which I'm
A lot of
not
people got hurt for no reasons.
right.
The sec-
Okay.
the second negative impact it did on society was thousands of people lost money because of it. Not only the people that their
Okay, thousands
businesses
of
got
people
burnt
are
down
losing
from the
money during
rioting.
this Iran war. I mean, I don't really see is the loss of money, is that the what you're gonna so what you don't know
BLM
or
and the
you seem
Iran war
not
are
to
very
know.
different. BLM is an
Oh,
internal
okay.
group that a party supported. How is
Okay,
that? That's
so
not even on the same.
let's talk about internal groups that parties support. How do you feel about the Proud Boys?
I don't feel like the right as a whole it comes
Sir,
out and
I
says
asked you a
we
question.
support.
I didn't ask you how you feel about them. I asked you, how do you feel about the Proud Boys?
Yeah, you quite literally asked me how I
I
feel
asked
about them.
you, how do you feel about the Proud Boys? Are you going to answer?
Yeah, I think they're disgusting. I don't think
Okay.
they deserve a
So,
platform
are you
whatsoever. And I
disgusted?
also don't think
Are you
I also don't
disgusted by
think
the
the political
pardons?
Republican Party has ever came out and said we support this.
Really?
Really?
Really? So,
Yes,
Trump
really.
didn't pardon the leader of the Proud Boys?
How does that have to compare to an
Bro, what?
organization being
What? Dude,
backed by the
hold on.
Democratic
Hold on.
Party?
What? Okay, so number one, you're falsely
Do you want to talk
asserting
about
that
the people that Joe
we're
Biden
funding,
pardoned?
sir,
Because we can
sir.
do that
You're
too.
falsely asserting that what the Democrats were doing was essentially sowing upheaval through a shell company. That's not. You don't have any evidence of that. But what we do have evidence of is
I don't have
Donald
it.
Trump pardoning a literal insurrectionist who did fun little demonstrations on my state capitol. That was fun. So don't
You
tell me.
didn't
Don't.
see that the two leaders of BLM both have gotten arrested for fraud? You haven't seen that?
Whoa! Have they been convicted?
Have you seen that? How do you sit there
Have
and
they been
say
convicted?
that we didn't support that when we did?
We? You mean the Democrats?
Yeah. The Democrats, yes, America. They are part of America, yes.
We supported them. What do you mean by that? We supported them.
Well,
Or did we monetarily did we financially give money to BLM? I don't think we did.
you had every Democratic
we
player
didn't even give
in
money
every Democratic
to them.
city
Okay.
volunteering their resources to support BLM. Do you not recall this, sir?
No, can you give me an example?
Minnesota.
Okay, what did they do in Minnesota?
They literally supported them as they burnt the city down.
They
Do you
supported
not
them.
recall that, sir?
Why would a governor support his city, one of his cities burning down?
That's what I'm asking you. It makes zero sense, right? But
Well,
that's
there's
what happened.
obviously
We
a
lived through
fucking
it.
reason, dipshit. What? Yeah, and here's
I'm
the
the
reason.
dipshit.
If they tried to put down the fucking riots like Donald Trump does, maybe they would have a real insurrection, kind of like what you saw on January 6th.
Maybe the riots would have never started as bad as they got
there we
if
go.
the
Because
mayor in the Republic.
people's
No,
rage
it's the
about an
Democrat.
unarmed
Why
black
did
man being
those
killed.
BLM?
People's rage about an unarmed black man being killed will just be totally put under the rug.
No, but your argument is that if we defended the way Donald Trump did, it would have gone way worse.
Yes,
what
it
I'm
would
saying
have.
to you is, if
Like we saw
Minnesota,
in LA.
Minneapolis, Minnesota is so racist, and we had to support it so much,
Bro,
why didn't any of
What are
that
you
happen in
talking
any
about? Minnesota
Republican
is
cities?
racist? Minnesota is racist?
Why didn't the riots happen the same way in Republican cities?
Because
Why did that not
Republican
happen?
cities are A, dirt holes, usually, and B,
Okay.
there were riots in Republican cities.
Really?
Not riots,
Like
but
the ones
protests.
in LA, like the ones in Boston, like the ones in Minnesota?
Well, I'm sorry they're more patriotic down there, man. Do you realize
Oh,
our
so
founding...
BLM
Hold
is,
on,
I'm
hold
sorry,
on.
sir.
What
Hold
was
on,
our
I'm sorry,
founding
sir.
action?
You
What
think
was our founding
BLM
action?
is a patriotic organization?
Much more patriotic
BLM is
than
a
a lot of
patriotic
Republicans.
organization?
Much more
Oh my
patriotic
goodness,
than a lot
sir.
of Republicans. Sir,
It's one of the most
can you answer a
fraudulent,
question,
fake
though?
businesses that has ever existed in the history of America, and you're saying it's a patriotic
Why do you
organization.
think that? It's more patriotic than the Heritage Foundation.
I'll
What's more
take this
patriotic? Here, I have a question, okay? And let me
well, that was
let me
one of
finish
my
it.
examples. I
Let
have many
me
more I can
finish
give you.
it. Let me give you a question. I got a question. So what's more patriotic? Protesting and getting a little rowdy and even rioting because you want your rights to be protected, or organizing a right-wing machine to essentially, through corporations, through backroom deals, through shady dealings, get your agenda across through major donations to political candidates and stuff like that. Which one's more unpatriotic? I'm just asking.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with protesting. It's
I
it's
know.
a right
So can you
and a
answer
liberty
that
that's been
question?
earned.
Can you answer that question, sir? Which one's less patriotic? Probably the second one, right?
The first example, what you described, is not what happened with BLM. They didn't just
I said
protest
riots.
and
I
share
said
their
get
voice.
violent. I said riots, sir.
What's wrong with it is that there was
Okay,
a
why don't you
political
answer?
party
You're
that
afraid of
supported
answering
it.
questions. Does it scare you? Do you wake up
Well,
at
no,
night and like,
you're giving me
question?
an example. Well, you're giving me an example that's not the same as what we're talking about. You're giving me an example of
Oh, it's different. It's different. It's different. Yeah, I know it's different. No shit. That's why I'm asking you which organization is better. Because one, just organize protests. The other, organize ways to infiltrate our government and make it more of an oligarchy. Yeah, they're different.
That's literally
I agree.
what I'm saying BLM was. So the first example you
Really?
said, if you put in
BLM
front of that the Democratic Party supported that, the same way the Republican Party you're saying supported that, I would say, yeah, they're both
no,
wrong.
but the Heritage Foundation. See, what you're trying to say is, oh, look, the Democrats were funding something. We weren't funding shit. But let me
I
tell
said they
you, the
supported it.
Heritage Foundation does fund Republican candidates. So why don't you have a problem with that shadow government?
Why is it that you won't own
Why
what
don't
I'm
you have
saying
a
about
problem with
BLM
that
before
shadow
you're pointing
government,
out,
sir?
you're
Why don't
redirecting your finger at something
engage
else?
with the question? Why don't you engage with the question, please?
You literally are avoiding our conversation
what's
right
my-
now and moving on before I'm ready. I want
Avoiding
you to
what?
own
What
the
am I
fact that
avoiding,
BLM
sir?
is a
What am I
fraudulent,
avoiding?
un-American,
You have no evidence. You
unpatriotic
have no
organization
evidence.
that
No
you now
evidence that they're
regret
fraudulent.
voting for because at one point you
I
made the wrong
voted for
decision.
BLM, folks.
You voted for the people who support BLM.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. I voted for Joe Biden because Donald Trump fucked up COVID so bad.
No, you
A lot
voted
of
for
other
him
people
because he
did
told
too.
you
A
how
lot of
racist
other
the
people did
country is.
too. A lot of other
Oh,
people
okay.
did too.
Do
Also,
you want to move on to my
do you
next
know what
example
business
of
insurance
what I have?
is? You ever? No, I
You want
want
me
you
to-
to engage with the question I had.
Okay.
Yeah, so why are you okay with a bunch of shadow companies and a bunch of big, huge conglomerates? We're talking Exxon, we're talking Amazon, we're talking all of the big names getting together, putting together a plan called Project 2025, and making sure the president state, like, why don't you have an issue with that organization?
Who says I don't?
Okay, so tell me what your issue with it is. And will
I don't
you
think
support candidates that are supported by the Heritage Foundation? Or will you revoke your support for them if they are supported by the Heritage Foundation?
Well, I am very happy to have this conversation, but will you own that I just made some very valid points in
No, you
our
didn't
debate
make
about BLM?
your single. Okay, one of your points,
Okay.
right? One of your big points was they're
Fair enough.
fraudulent. They're fraudulent. What's your
They are.
evidence? Oh, 2 members got caught for fraud. Have they been convicted yet? I don't know. Here, I'll look it up. The BLM fraud. How about that? Let's do that. Let's make sure
Instead of that,
no, bro. I know you don't want
Yeah, you can
to,
look.
but Page was convicted of. Oh, so it was one person. Donors thought Page was using funds to support protests, but in reality, she spent the money on a prostitute, guns, booze, tailored suit. Well, it looks like they caught them. And again, this wasn't defrauding of the Democratic Party. This was defrauding done by donors. Who was Page, by the way? Page, BLM. Sure, major ex-BLM leader. Oh, looks like she got kicked out anyways. You know, Black Lives Matter is still going on right now, right? You know that, right?
Well, I mean, you don't hear it nearly as much as when the Democratic Party was
because,
shoving
like
up
I
our
said,
ass.
there's not as many
So let me
dead
ask you this:
black
Have we just
people who are
become not?
unarmed.
Has the whole entire country just become not racist because all of a sudden BLM
No,
is not
I think
everywhere
there
like
are
it was?
still issues,
Oh,
sir,
okay.
but a lot of major police departments took introspection. You hear it all the time.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
not
they
going to
saw
own
what
this,
was
and that's
going on.
okay.
They saw
But
what
like
was
your
going
chat's
on.
even telling you that you
Yeah,
lost
listen,
this one,
bro,
and
if
that's
you look
okay.
at, yes, my chat is literally
We-
full of Trump supporters. You know that, right?
Well, we can move on
They
to the
have
next
short
topic if you
attention
want.
fans. They have short attention
I'm
spans.
ready.
That's why they're on
Well,
the
you're
shorts.
talking to one of them right now. So
Well,
why don't
I
we
know,
move on
but
to the next
can
one
you
if you want to do
engage
that?
what? No, I don't want to move off this point. I want to keep talking about it because
Okay.
you seem to think
Well, you
your
already
point of
did
view
move
is
on, and
right.
then you went back because I
You
asked
seem
you.
to think your point of view is right. So let's continue onward. So
What
please tell me
has
what
BLM done for black
examples
people?
of what has BLM done for black people?
Yeah.
What
It's
do you
been
mean?
around for a long time. You should be able to
It's
rattle
been around
off
since
a bunch of things they've
2014.
done.
Been
Yeah,
around
you
of
should be able to rattle
2014.
off. Yep.
No,
What have they done?
They did. Okay, sir. So what they were able to do was raise public awareness of the fact that black people still do have disadvantages in our society, and I think a lot of people heard that message. You're so upset because people are like, yeah, we probably shouldn't shoot unarmed black people.
So you
and I
don't
think
have
it's
a
funny.
single an actual measurable thing that they've contributed to
I've
society that
already
we
told
have.
you we had a decreased
Well,
amount
the
of
idea that they
Okay.
drew more attention to something that's not a measurable thing, sir.
Yeah, so how
You
do
can't
you
measure
measure
that.
how exactly do you measure the issue that they had besides what I mentioned, which
I
you
didn't
don't
ask
want to
you to
talk
measure
about?
the issue, sir. I asked you to give me a couple things they've
You
done for
literally
black
gave me a
people.
measurable what do you want me to say here? I mean, they stopped protesting and we are at peace now. And I think Black Lives Matter did do some great things in terms of raising public consciousness. That's what a lot of the civil rights campaigns of the past, you realize they were to raise public awareness too.
And they went
And
about it in a
honestly, I
completely
mean, the
different
same thing
way.
could be said for
And
them
political
now.
parties
The
didn't
same thing,
polarize a side the way that it
whoa,
was.
yes they did. Yes they did. Hold on,
No,
bro.
sir.
So you're telling me there was no politician that was like, I support the civil rights movement. Really?
Of course there was. Don't be a fool. Of
Okay,
course
so
there was.
why can't the same be said for Democrats supporting BLM?
They were supporting the actions of BLM.
Oh, they weren't supporting the idea.
They were literally supporting the idea that it's okay to burn
No.
black people's businesses down, burn down the streets,
Oh,
flip
okay.
over
We got
cars,
this
and rob
blacktivist
people.
out here.
Well, I love black people. I just wish
love black
BLM
people.
did something
That's
for them.
something
Unlike
a
you
person
can't
that
give me
loves black
one
people
thing that they
says.
actually did. They've
Sir,
been
I've
around for
given you literally 3 examples, and you're like, no, doesn't affect it. No, not real.
that they brought more attention to civil rights. That's your example,
And they
sir?
brought down
What a measurable.
the number of cops shooting unarmed black people. What are you? I just told you, sir.
They brought down the
Yeah. Do
number
you
of
want me to bring
unarmed
you? Do you
black
want me to
people.
give? They brought down my
You're
bad. They brought down the
accrediting
number of
BLM,
shootings of unarmed black people. Yes.
and you're accrediting BLM, which hasn't been
Oh,
relevant now
here
for
we
about
go.
3
The
to 4 years
goalpost
for that.
shift. The goalpost shift,
Not at
ladies and
all.
gentlemen.
Not at all.
Not at all. Oh, and body
you're gonna-
cameras are mandatory for police now. Shout out to the person in chat that said that.
And that's
Yeah,
a BLM.
body
That's because
cameras
of
are-
BLM.
Yes. Do you not remember? Oh
The
my
same
God.
organization that was
yes!
telling you. All right, that's fine. The same organization
Okay, so do
that was
you
also
agree? Do you
preaching
agree?
to
Do you
defund
agree?
the
Do you
police.
agree?
The
Do you
same
agree?
organization that was
Do you
preaching
agree?
to
Do you
take
agree?
money
Oh my
away
God, this
to
is
defund
impossible.
police,
This
you're
is
now saying
impossible.
is responsible for funding body cameras. Do you know how stupid that is?
Well, they're mandatory now. Why are they
That
mandatory?
was incredibly stupid to say that out loud.
No, it
Shout
wasn't.
out to
You
the
know it
person in
kills
your
your
chat.
point. You
Shout
know
out
it
to the
kills
person
your
in your
point.
chat.
You know it kills your point because body cameras are police accountability, and they were only actually. When did it become law that police must wear body cameras? I
Defund
wonder.
the police, yet we're gonna fund the police with body
Okay,
cameras.
I
Do you
get
know
it.
how
I don't
that
support
sounds?
defunding the police. So why don't you
Do
engage
you
with me?
realize how dumb that sounds, though? Can we just agree that that
No,
was very stupid
I don't think
to
it
say out
sounds
loud?
dumb at all.
Well, your chat disagrees with that.
Okay, that's great. I already told you.
Do you want to move on to the next topic since I've...
No, you're getting cooked on this, bro. So
I do not
why
think
is
so,
body
sir.
cameras bad? Why is body cameras bad?
I don't think it's bad. I think it's good.
And why don't you attribute that to the unrest that was occurring during the George Floyd protest?
Because part of that protest was
I get it.
to
It was part of their
defund
slogan was defund
the
the police.
police,
Yes, it was
and
cringe.
adding
I
a body
agree.
camera to police is actually
Oh, it's
funding
gonna
the
cost.
police.
Okay,
Do you
listen how
understand
stupid
that?
listen how stupid you are. Right, your standard of
Right.
evidence for if accountability. So you know that defund the police was about police accountability, right? We can both agree. We can see what that is. And so you're saying, oh, look, this aspect of police accountability, well, they didn't technically pay them less, so you didn't achieve your goal. It's hilarious, bro.
Sir, defunding the police
Oh,
is
Biden
about
increased
mon-
the federal.
a monetary budget that is allowable
And
by
the Democrats,
municipalities.
and the Democrats that you're saying are so bad, Biden increased the federal police matching fund to its highest level.
great.
So those
And at
same
the same
Democrats
time,
that
he was
you're
supporting the
criticizing, the
organization that was
same
saying to not
Democrats
do
that
that.
you're criticizing are increasing the funding. So even if
And
that's
you
their slogan,
understand,
even if
and
that's
you
their
understand
slogan,
that by him
even if
doing
that's
that,
their slogan,
yep.
okay, what's
And why
up?
do you think he lost the election? Because he didn't do what the
Oh, it's
Democratic Party
because
wanted
that
him
is
to
so
do.
funny. No, it's the
No,
economy,
you're
stupid.
funny. You literally are
It's
going
the
against
economy,
yourself in this
stupid.
argument. You're literally arguing this argument against yourself, and I love it.
Okay, interesting. So how am I arguing against myself?
Because the organization you're saying is patriotic, part of their protest was
Yes.
to defund the police. And now you're saying on the other side of that, of the other side of your mouth, that President Biden,
No,
because
I'm
he's a
not.
Democrat, and he
I've
funded
already
police,
acknowledged
that I should be on that. I'll let you go.
Bro, you're being very disingenuous. You know I've already acknowledged that defunding the police is bad, and I don't think that slogan was good. But it means much more that we needed police accountability, and we got that. And then we did get funding through Biden for the police. So what's your issue again? If the slogan led to something good, then why are you bitching?
It didn't lead to something good. Do you know how many
It
cops
did
quit their
increase
jobs
funding
and
to the
moved into
police
a
that you're
different
crying about.
field?
Okay.
All the people that you're saying are such bad cops are now gone, and we're hiring people with
I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're
way
bad
less
cops.
qualifications now for an
I'm
average
glad you think
police
that.
officer.
I'm glad you think that.
I don't think that. I know that.
Oh, are you a
I know
police
that.
officer? Are you a police
I
officer?
am a police officer. Yes,
Oh,
I am.
okay. So I can see maybe they lowered the standards for you, but I trust in my police officers, sir.
You can look up the standards across the board.
Oh.
And you can look them up yourself.
So how many police?
I don't need to tell you anything.
Like, how many police are police not being hired anymore? What's going on?
No, a lot of police stations were actually defunded, and a lot of people did lose their jobs because of that.
Can you point to anywhere where that actually occurred?
And also, while that was happening,
can you point to anywhere where that actually occurred?
Mandating that people get COVID vaccines,
dude,
which was
like
also
afraid.
another
I'm
policy
that
the Democratic Party pushed up everyone's ass.
You're a police officer?
Why is that such a shock to you? Because I'm on YouTube talking to you?
Well, no, sir, because you don't listen. So I'd be afraid to be pulled over by you.
Right, because you probably think I'm a racist and I'm a bigot because I'm a police officer.
No, I don't think you're racist, sir. Did I ever claim you were racist? Why
would you be scared to be pulled over by me? When you don't know me, you know nothing about me.
You sound very angry, and I just don't know why.
I'm getting a little frustrated because we've talked at large about why this makes sense.
Well, we're talking about a nuanced topic. We're talking about a nuanced topic, so.
Okay, I understand. I didn't mean to sound mad or frighten anybody.
No, you're good.
Okay.
All right, we can move on though. What do you want to talk about, brother?
We can move on. So the next push that I feel like the Democratic Party has really pushed on society, and it's done a lot of damage to society as a whole, was the COVID vaccine.
How did I know you were about to say the COVID vaccine? Who was the COVID vaccine?
Because we just talked about it.
Do you know what Operation Warp Speed is?
I do.
So why do you support Trump? He literally fast-tracked the vaccine, and those very same people you're saying are like putting shit in the vaccine, like they're much more incentivized if they have a small time frame to put worse shit in the vaccine.
I don't agree with everything about Operation Warp Speed. I really don't. What I was more focusing on was like the societal impacts that the mandates, the lockdowns, what it had on the kids.
No, we'll agree on this, sir. I think that the lockdowns, I mean, they were mandatory. We would have a lot more dead people if not, but I do think that there was a lot of societal harm done there. And I do think there needs to be more funding to programs that are oriented towards getting people out there, like whether these be community projects, Stuff like that, so we can actually rebuild our community ties. Because I agree, I don't think a lot of people are very in touch with their very own community, and there was a lot of harm done there. And I think a lot of conspiracism actually comes from people being isolated for so long.
I just think it did a lot of societal damage, and just to like full circle this, I do think, just like BLM, the Democratic Party, the Democratic cities, the Democratic states went way overboard. There was a time where
Trump was talking about initiating martial law to stop the spread of COVID. He did, I'm pretty sure, actually, in some state. I couldn't be wrong about that. But yeah, he was talking about activating martial law. And so the mandatory lockdowns, they weren't martial law. You weren't going to get shot if you were outside of your home.
no, but what I'm saying is, in certain states, the rules and mandates were much more extreme than others. Would you agree? Do you remember that point of time?
For like a year after, but I don't think anybody is acting. I think it's good to wear masks in like hospitals still and shit, but and there's mandatory masks in like certain hospitals in a very rural state that I live in, Kansas.
So again, I guess I'll. Do you think that the Democratic Party during COVID was more extreme than the Republican Party was about the mandates and the lockdown?
No, I just
Would
gave
you
you an
agree with that?
example of how the Republican in charge at the time, Donald Trump, was going to initiate mandatory lockdowns by martial law. Do we? I don't think we want that.
No, but do you remember when like the governor of Maine, the senator of Maine, they were literally about to fight with the federal government, and that's why martial law was talked about, because the mandates in Maine were so extreme that the government was going to go in there with martial law.
I
That's
don't.
that's a real thing that happened. Do you
Yeah,
not
so
recall that, sir?
I'll have to look into that because I don't remember Maine. I remember Biden having a problem with Texas, but I don't remember a fight with Maine happening because their COVID mandates were too restrictive. This was during the height of COVID, man. Like, I don't think uh, they were too restrictive, but I'll look it up. But even if that's the case, a state has the right to do what they want with their own population, unless it's like a straight up genocide or racial discrimination or anything like that. So who cares if their mandates are a little longer?
I care. You should care.
Well,
We're the
the people
United
of
States of
the
America. We're
people
not
of that state,
individual. If that was the case, we'd be individual countries, and we'd have 50 countries and not
we
one
are
United States.
technically, well, that's if you want to go back to the framers and what their vision was, that was their vision. But yeah, I agree federalization happened, and I think federalization was overall a pretty good thing, although I'm starting to question that with Trump. But um no, a state has the right to institute any business regulations or uh, civic regulation, things of that nature. And so
Yeah,
the government
absolutely,
has
and
no
that's why
right
you
telling
saw.
them. The
Well,
government
that's
has
why
no
you
right
saw.
telling them to do that.
That's why you saw Democratic states and cities being so tight on COVID and the mandates that there was an influx of people moving away from California, New York,
We've been,
Boston,
dude,
and
you've
moving
been,
to
you
places
guys have been
like
saying this for like
Texas,
6 years now, and we're
Florida.
just not seeing it.
Well, it's a reality, sir.
It's
What do you
not
mean we're not seeing
reality.
it?
We're not
I,
seeing it.
look it up right now. Look it
Look
up
it
right now.
up. Okay. So what should I look up?
You're saying we're not seeing it. So I would ask you what it
California.
is, and you are
Yeah, so
welcome to
we're
look it
not
up.
seeing this mass migration to Republican states.
Okay, look it up in Texas. Look it up in Florida.
Look what
What
up?
has been
The
the state?
population
What
state
what's been the year over year
population of
out of state people
Texas
moving there?
over the year. All right. There was also an influx of undocumented citizens during Biden's
Also
tenure.
another topic I would love to talk that the
I
Democratic
know
Party
we
has
don't like
supported
our brown
and ruined
people. We don't like
societal.
brown. Oh my! You say okay. Listen to yourself. You're saying it ruins society. What are you talking? The one thing with COVID is I agree. I agree. COVID did fuck up our society. But how did BLM ruin our society? How the fuck did immigration ruin our society?
It was detrimental. I shouldn't ruin's too strong. You're right. It didn't ruin because
Detrimental? What did it do?
we're obviously still the
It's
greatest country
detrimental?
in the world right now.
I
Yeah, I
agree.
would
Best
say it
country
had
on the
detrimental.
planet.
It would have detrimental, long-lasting impacts, and I think
No, it
BLM
has
is part of that.
positive,
I think
long-lasting
immigration is part of that.
impacts.
I think the lockdowns and the mandates were part of that. I
Well, if
think
we're
that
talking about
the push
immigration
of
as long-term,
transgenderism on children is
oh
a part of
jeez,
that. I mean, there's a lot of different topics that the
transgenderism. Oh man, the
Democratic
culture
Party
war.
has supported over the years
Welcome
that has
back to
been very
2023, ladies and
detrimental
gentlemen.
to society.
Okay, so can we actually talk? So I know you think that I don't think you're ever going to vote for a
Yep.
Democrat, but
That's
could I
not true,
ask
sir.
you
That's not
about?
true at
No,
all.
you would
I
never
voted
vote
for,
for
sir, I
Bernie.
want you to know that
You voted for Bernie.
I'm an older guy. I have voted for Hillary. I have voted for Obama. So I don't accept that you don't think I'd vote Democrat because I literally have voted Democrat multiple
so
times.
I I kind of disagree. I don't think you're being truthful with that, but that's okay. That's okay. Listen,
When I was at college
what is
in
going
2008,
well? What is going well for the administration right now? Because you've been kind of on the attack with me, and we can go over like transgenderism, I guess, if you want, but I just don't think that's like actually relevant to people's lives. I prefer
okay.
policy, right? Like
Well, I have
policy.
children. So
That's
I've been
great.
I've been I've been raising children through this time. So it may not impact you the way it impacts
Oh, it
others, and to have
impacted
such a
your. Oh
narrow-minded
no, are your children
viewpoint,
gay now?
not at all. No. And if they were, I would love them the same.
What if they were trans?
I don't think my children would be trans.
What if they were?
I don't think they would be. I don't think they
But
ever
what
would be.
if, sir?
But they're not. I could do what ifs all day.
You're just like, you don't want to engage with it because you're going to have to confront the fact that you would still love them. That's the issue, bro. You would still love them. You know you would
Of
love
course
them.
I would still love them.
Of
Of
course
course
you
I would.
would. And you wouldn't say, hey, fuck you, put on, your proper clothing. If they were like 14 or 16, you would support them.
Absolutely not. Of course I would.
So, like, that's the thing. Like, I know you would. I don't think you're a horrible person. I know you would. And so, like, that's the thing, though. Like, this, a lot of times, the idea of somebody transitioning, it, especially at a younger age, it's obviously easier when you're older, but it is a very difficult decision. A lot of people either think they're gay at first, or they self harm or stuff like that. And so I don't want people to go through that. So what my personal belief is that if the hormone replacement therapy is reversible, then it should be okay if you're 14. Now, I don't think you should have surgery until you're 18, and that's most Democrats. Now, I'm sure you can find some cringy ass politician, probably a DSA member now that we have to deal with that, but most Democrats that I talk to are not comfortable until they're of the age of 18. I have heard some compelling arguments of 16 because, some men develop breasts when they're in their early teens, but overall, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. So that's my opinion.
And I think no, and I appreciate and I respect your opinion. I think you would also find, like most Republicans, would find this middle ground with you, but it's polarized so much that when I even talk about it on this call with you right now, and I think we've
No.
had a very cordial conversation, respectful conversation, you're like, well, would you love your kids if they were? And it just goes there so fast where it's like,
Well, these
I,
are
I
questions
agree
you
with what
gotta
you said.
ask. These
Well,
are
I
questions.
think for young kids are very impressionable, and boys when they're young play with girl stuff. Girls when they're young can be tomboys, and
No, yeah,
We
and I
we
I
all were
totally
we all were
understand
kids
that.
at one point, and we're all confused at one point. And yeah, if my personal child came to me at 15, 16, 17, 18, and we're like that, I don't feel comfortable, I don't feel normal, I
Yeah.
absolutely have that conversation and we go down that path. But when my
And
kid's coming to me
that's
at
a
4, 5, 6,
lot.
7 years old,
Well, no,
and
of
they're being
course
told
not.
at school that
But nobody's
this is
doing that.
okay and this is okay, that's where I'm like, this is not okay, and it's done
Well,
detrimental damage to
they're not
society.
doing that though. That's the thing.
Sir,
Like, does having a
I
pride
have kids
flag in
in the
your
school system.
classroom mean that you're indoctrinating them into the woke ideology? I don't think so.
Not at all. Not at
Yeah,
all.
like if they're like
But when you take
actively,
extremes as far as boys going into girls' rooms and girls going into boys' rooms at very young ages and locker
I
rooms
don't
and
think
bathrooms where
that's
private body parts are
I
exposed,
don't think
that
that's
is a
happening.
problem.
And anybody that I would agree if they are doing that, allowing unisex bathroom stuff at that young age, I'd agree with you. That is not appropriate, but I just don't see where that's happening.
Oh, and I think a lot more of this could happen where there is this like middle ground that's kind of found on both sides. But I do feel like the right gets portrayed the second that they maybe not agree with everything, they get put in this corner of like, oh well, then you must, you hate gays, you don't like trans people, you're a racist,
No,
you're
I
you're
don't
you're
think
you're an
I don't
ignorant,
think you hate
you're a
gays.
fascist.
I think you do have some issues with like BLM and stuff, and that's
I have
that's its
issues
own
with
can of
with someone
worms.
like
But I
yourself.
don't think you're
I have an
racist.
issue with someone like yourself
Oh,
who seems like
well,
pretty educated on a lot of this stuff, who literally says that BLM is a patriotic organization.
I
Like
believe
that
they
pains
are.
that
Listen,
pains my soul, man, to hear
I
that.
do you think the Boston Tea Party was patriotic?
I do.
What was the Boston Tea Party? A destruction of personal property by the crown, or by the obviously at the time unincorporated colonists, but the people that would one day represent America. It was by them destroying the crown's property. Now, I don't think it's good that property was destroyed during BLM, but I do think there was some positive ground made. Now, you disagree with that, and I understand. But, I think protests necessarily sometimes do become that way. We saw it with the Rodney King protest and stuff. So, I don't support people burning stuff down. And I think you do see lessons, right? Like, look at the protests recently. They have not been nearly as violent. We saw some Waymos get burnt up in LA, but, we understand. As a protester, like, I saw what was going on in BLM and I took notes. Like, obviously, there was some extreme actions taken there, but I don't think that necessarily means that what they were fighting for was bad. But like
And
I've
and I
I've
would
met a lot of people that feel this way about BLM, and I understand there was a lot of stuff being said at the time, and stuff still comes out today. So
and again, I don't disagree with the right to protest. I don't disagree, honestly, with taking protests to a certain level to make sure it's heard, like the Boston Tea Party. What I disagree with is when a political party backs something that is basically telling everyone else who doesn't support that, if you're not a part of this, that means you're this. And it's the same thing with the trans community and the
well, I think
LGBTs. Like, if
what's
you're not a
happening
part of,
is
well, no, can I finish
well
real
I
quick?
oh yeah, for sure.
If
My
you're
bad, man.
if you if you're not a part of a community, right? Because that's what they label these organizations as communities. If you're not a part of a community, what does that make you?
Well, I don't think that. So I am part of the
Hold on a second.
LGBT,
If you're
but I
not a
don't think
part of a community, what does that make you?
somebody who's not part of that community.
You're an adversary.
I don't think so. I don't treat people
Very
that
much so. You're talking to
I'm in the
someone who has lived it.
LGBT, and I don't attack straight white people and stuff like that. I think it's totally fine. Whatever floats your boat. The reason that I find like the LGBTQ community, for example, so valuable is because, it was very hard growing up in a rural state and dealing with my sexuality at the time. But that's not important. You know, I agree. Like I said, I agree with BLM getting rowdy and very violent, and I don't think we should support that. But what about I'm gonna ask this. What about January 6th? January 6th was very much uh, this violent try over. They were trying to overthrow the government. Um, and I just don't see nearly as much like condemnation from the right on that. I thought what happened that day was a stain on our democracy. Um, and it pains me that future generations are going to have to look on that and see what could have happened.
I agree. I think January 6th is a disgraceful part of American history. I don't support any of the people that went into that building. If I was personally there myself, I would have stood at that fence line because that's where protesters belong. So, yeah, you're talking to someone who doesn't agree with any of that.
Okay.
If you're going to ask the follow-up question of, well, do you think Donald Trump was the one who incited everything? I think, like most, he said a statement, and he's saying it to millions and millions and millions of people from millions of, well, not millions, but a lot of different places, with a lot of different reasons going on. And at that moment in time, there was a lot of tension, right? Because of things like how polarizing the Democratic Party made some of these situations. And that kind of goes full circle to my very first, like what I wanted to talk to you about was just some of these things that they've supported, and by they I mean the Democratic Party, have left detrimental, long-lasting impacts on society in their negatives.
So
And I think that
I
at January 6th, I don't think it's justified whatsoever. Just to answer your question.
well, and I think you're consistent on that front. So yeah, I definitely. Once I started this, once I saw the gallows starting to be built, I'm out of there. But anyways, um, I disagree. I don't think that they're, we look into these situations like BLM, and it was much more nuanced in my opinion. And like I said, there were some substantive gains, but there were losses, and I'm acknowledging that. Um, one of the big issues I have with Trump personally is his divisive language. And, you were saying we were being divisive, but this guy is saying like he wants Democrats dead, and other things like that. And, you know, I personally think in 2028, we're going to have a pretty bipartisan candidate. I want somebody like John Ossoff or somebody like Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly's a badass. But I don't want to be divisive. I do want to heal America, and I see the Democrats want to do that too. I know you probably disagree, but look at their recent actions. For example, when they shut down the government, Hakeem Jeffries was there every day saying, "I want to work with the Republicans. Bring them back. Let's work on this." But it was just radio silence from Mike Johnson, and I don't think that's conducive to a good, like, I am a true believer in the system, as in I believe both sides need to work together. And I don't think
And I
all
agree.
Republicans are evil, okay? I don't
And
think
I don't think
most
all Democrats are
Republicans
evil.
I don't think most Republicans are evil. Like, I am kind of disappointed with both of my senators right now, but typically one of my senators, Jerry Moran, he's a Republican. I uh I think he's done pretty well in his tenure as Republican. He is supporting the SAVE Act, which is a whole other thing, but he brought small business to Kansas, and I think that's good. Um, but we gotta stop
And
saying,
I,
like, it is kind of inflammatory to say, well, the Democrats supported all these riots. I don't think most Democrats did not support the riots. They supported the idea of police accountability and stuff like that. And I agree, a lot of cringy rhetoric came out of there. But, I don't think they were all
well,
necessarily there.
when I say when I say Democrat in that regard, I'm literally talking about the people in the roles of office that are
I
controlling the
agree. I
cities,
know.
controlling the board. I'm not talking about the people or
No,
the voters
I
for that
know
matter.
that,
I'm
but there are
talking.
good Democrat politicians. You know, a lot of people on my
There are, but
side
there are a lot of
bitch and moan
terrible ones
about.
too, and I just don't think it's very even. Like as far as polarizing, when I talk to you, when I talk to a Democrat, I don't automatically assume that they disagree with absolutely everything I think. Right? Like when I meet a Democrat, I don't automatically in my head think, oh, this person supports, you know, all the shit I don't agree with. Like they want to be a communist country, just as an example, right? Like I
Well,
don't just naturally assume that. And what I'm saying is I feel like the parties have been so polarized that when you are a Republican, this immediate wall goes up when the other person knows. And it feels like the group that wants the most tolerance, the second I tell them I don't disagree with absolutely everything, quickly becomes the most intolerant group. So it's
well, I
very
do think
hypocritical to
that
me.
sometimes, I don't know you, but you do seem like you may be a little adversarial at times, and that's not bad every time, not at all. But, you know, sometimes you gotta work on the message and delivery, and I agree. There is this thing that I call woke scolding in the liberal and left community, and it's it's toxic, and I fight against that. I will meme about Republicans, but I say it all the time. I think they're my fellow Americans, and I want what's best for everybody, including them. So I understand feeling that way. See, I have a different experience because I do live in a Republican held state that for a long while did seem like it was a Republican stronghold, kind of weakening there. But you know,
So I So
I
I live I can relate to that a lot. I live in the state of New Hampshire. So we at one point were a pretty red state and now we've been pretty blue for a while and it's just been really interesting to watch how that evolution has played out and that's why like when I say people have moved from Boston, California to places like New Hampshire, it's a very real thing that I lived through, and they're moving away from policy, which is mind blowing to me.
they're moving away. What?
A lot of the people that have migrated here from Boston, New York City, L.A., they have come to New England because, or not, the people from Boston have moved north in New England because of how crazy things got in those areas from a mandate perspective. It's been a real thing for us in New Hampshire and Maine. So that's just in a real life example that I've
Well,
lived through.
I lived through, you know, just from anecdotal experience, I live through horrible infrastructure in Kansas. It is a nightmare, some of these roads, and I don't get to benefit nearly like there's no public option here. There's, you know, weed is still fucking criminalized. I know a lot of people who have been arrested and now have stuff. So, like, yeah, I don't think that what's this to say? You know, I think there are good aspects on both sides. And I do want a Republican Party that is more understanding and willing to reach across the aisle. I just don't see it right now. And a lot of the times, you know, it shouldn't be like a fight between Democrats and Republicans. We have a lot more to a lot more to worry about. The world is heating up and all that. So, you know, I got to move on. But I thought this was a good conversation, man. And I know we kind of came in a little hot, but I'm glad you could see a different perspective, and I'm glad I could see yours.
No, I'm a fan. Just to be clear, like I listen to you, and this is the first time I've called in. And
Oh
yeah,
hell
I
yeah, thank
apologize
you.
if I got a little hot there. It's just
No,
there's
you're
certain
fine. Don't
things
worry
that.
about it, bro.
But no, I appreciate your time. My name is Bill. I'll hopefully call back again. But yeah, I appreciate your time and conversation. Hopefully, more people that are right and left can start to find more middle ground. So thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Have a great day, man. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Hey, shout out. I say all the time, I appreciate those conversations because I do want to show a more human side to just our politics in general. I think it is a travesty to essentially say that politics, like, I think one of the basis of politics is empathy. You have to understand where people are coming from if you're going to make laws for them, right? That's why representation is a thing, because people, your representatives understand or should understand um, your plights and struggles. By the way, what's up, Mud Butters? What's up, Khan? Hey, Shavila. Hope you guys are doing well. If you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe, and consider sending a super chat or buying a membership. Both are great ways to support the channel. I am saving up for a new computer because it's been kind of breaking. The old Lenovo laptop ain't doing too well.
Call from.
My name is Cody.
To accept.
Hey Cody, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far, or with the prompt?
I think I disagree with most of it, but like within a good like I'm not trying to be an asshole. I just was calling to talk.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that's good. So what I mean, with the prompt in general, are you a Republican, Democrat, Independent?
I'm a Republican.
Okay. Well, I don't think the Republicans are doing very well right now, personally. I do think that with the Save America Act being caught up like a paper jam, it doesn't feel like they're really trying to move in ways that would help the country.
I understand that you feel that way. I feel a different way. And I just wanted to talk to somebody about, maybe our differences.
Okay. What do you mean by that? Just talk about like you know, I know what you mean by that.
Um, I'll give you an example. I there a couple of years ago, there was 100 million people that were fighting for climate activism.
Yes.
I don't understand where they all went.
So part of it
Yeah,
was oh, go on.
just give me a sec.
Okay.
And so climate activism is part of being on the left. I feel like I am just as guilty as the people I am condemning right now. But I feel I have seen 100 million people that all cared about the climate and they just disappeared.
Um, I
And
think
the
there
way
are
that I feel about the right now is like on the right, there was 100 million people that all cared about Jeffrey Epstein
Mm-hmm.
and they all just disappeared. I
That
feel that none of us truly care about the situations that we're fighting for. I think it's all like a campaign. Like, I truly care about climate. I truly care about Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm getting to this point where it's like, I think we're all just kind of like goaded. And like, there's no care anymore at all. Because I stopped caring about Jeffrey Epstein as a member of the right. And I feel everybody else stopped caring about climate change because they're, part of the left.
well, no, I still very much care about climate change. The issue is that some of that was solved. We incentivized things like electric cars. And we have places like California. They're very interested in green technology. I'd say it's much more that our priorities have shifted. I still very much, like I said, I care about green tech. I actually celebrate Trump opening new nuclear power plants. But anyways, I just don't think that it was necessarily us abandoning climate change. We just have different things on the agenda right now,
The way
such
that it
as
feels to me is, and this is coming from a member of the right, the way that it feels to me is like I'm trying to come more to the middle. The way that it seems to me is like we're all, doesn't matter what side you are on, we're just like fighting this campaign that we're, it's the campaign of these people that we don't really care about. So yes, I care about climate change, I care about all this stuff, but unless we're told by the elites that
oh,
this is the thing that we need to press right now, nobody really gives a shit.
so I would I do push back on that. I do think that a lot of our politics is how people are feeling. A lot of people were very concerned about climate change and think this is coming after Obama. And then before that, there was a lot of climate activism with Al Gore. And so I think what you were seeing, and the one of the big reasons you heard a lot about climate change back in the 2016 in the teens era, is because Trump had pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, and that was a big milestone for climate activism. And we're out of it again, and so that's fun. But I think, and you are starting to hear more people speak up about climate activism. I think data center opposition is a form of activism.
I suppose where I'm at right now is like I've never cared about it. I'm just looking at the other side, and I'm seeing their care shift, and I'm trying to reconcile that with my care shift. I think the same thing Democrats are doing is the same thing that I'm doing. And what I mean by that is Democrats like just press the nail on this climate thing for so long. They like bled tears about
Well,
climate
there's
change.
still
And now
there's
it's
still
nothing.
climate positive. Well, there's still climate positive bills being passed in states that are blue, like California. Like I said, they still very much engage in climate activism and stuff like that. So it's really dependent
But
on the state
isn't
you're in.
California failing? I mean,
No,
uh,
California still has the fourth largest economy in the world.
that doesn't mean they're not wrecking it.
No, it does mean they're not wrecking it. It means they're doing very well.
Okay, I want to have an honest conversation because I'm a conservative. So when I see all these millions of people moving to Florida and all these people escaping California, me being one myself, what does that mean? Does that
Um,
mean it's successful? Because for me, California was a failure. I'm a business owner. I own an HVAC company, and I have several employees. And every time I work within California, I just honestly, as a businessman, I get screwed. I don't even want to work in California. And
well,
but it,
I I I hear you. I think what you're experiencing is much more kind of a byproduct of everywhere. Now, Florida probably has more use for an HVAC person because of their um the atmosphere in which they work in. But, I think we are seeing a loss of opportunity and a loss of wage growth. Now, I attribute that personally to these giant companies. And I say that in more, immigration, having undocumented citizens is a byproduct of having these giant corporations. All of this leads back to we need to hold these companies accountable. And one of the examples I use is, why is there not four Amazons? There shouldn't just be one giant conglomerate Amazon that owns like most of what you buy online. And there shouldn't be like a giant company, Alphabet, which owns a majority of services that you depend on. I mean, I think these should be separate companies handling, their own thing. It's very anti-competition. And that's why I think we see a decrease in wealth and labor. And it starts in bigger cities like California has. It starts in those bigger cities, and then it works its way into rural towns, which we've seen a lot of recently with
I
things
honestly,
like Dollar
no,
General.
I agree with when you say that, but I feel like both people are playing both cards.
So I
And
understand feeling this way. And I do want to address. Do you mind if I address that real quick? Because I hear you. A
absolutely.
lot of people feel like they're not represented, like they don't have the ability to influence their governance. And I think a big reason for that is because of the way the House of Representatives works. Literally, the name there, representatives, right? And so the way it was set up is each representative is supposed to only represent about 30,000 to 50,000 people. That was supposed to be it. But that number, since we've capped the House, has absolutely ballooned to 800,000 people per representative. And now it's almost impossible to talk to your federal rep. And that leads to you don't even get to meet him. Like, it's not a community person like it was really supposed to be back then. So that's why I support the Democrats, is because we want to uncap the House. And there is some Republican support there too. It's not just like an only Democrat led effort. But I hear you.
What do
And
you mean by uncapping the house?
yeah, so
I didn't
uncapping the
understand that.
House. Yeah, so like I said earlier, there's a cap of about 400, I believe it's 85, or maybe 35, 400 something representatives in the House of Representatives. And because we've capped the number, we've kept it at that number there for like I think almost a decade now. Obviously our population doesn't shrink. So there's been more and more people that are represented, more and more constituents that a representative has to represent. And so uncapping means essentially redrawing districts so they're much smaller and more there's more representation because there's less voices they have to listen to. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, the redistricting is bizarre. It doesn't matter if it's redistricting for Democrats or
Oh
Republicans.
yeah,
I think
I
it's all
gerrymandering
crazy.
sucks.
The gerrymandering stuff has to stop. We have to find an actual solution to that.
Well,
I
there are ways
completely
to do
agree
that.
with that.
Yeah.
However, however, there's something. I'm a Nevada resident.
Okay.
There's something that is happening in this has to do with the popular vote. Um, Nevada, uh, whether you know, Nevada is a red state. It is always going to be a red state.
But
Ninety
Nevada's pretty
percent of
blue,
Nevada is
actually.
ranchers and farmers and blue collar workers. Except there is Clark County that wins because they have the more population every single time. Clark County always wins. When that's the way the Constitution is set up. I'm fine with that.
Like the state
However, the
constitution?
little guys are getting screwed. The farmers that are up north are getting screwed because Clark County, Vegas, always steals, the farmers' water.
Well, that's
So
why
we
I
have
would.
we have like 10 representatives in Carson City right now, and like 9 of them are Republican. I'm just trying to find like a balance. I get that. I get let's uncap the house. I think that's I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think we
I
need
mean,
to
and
make
I've
them smaller. I think we need to make them, we need to make it like the
make it so people have
gerrymandering
to
thing.
listen to their constituents and think if you live in that, since you're going to be, I mean, you have to live in the district you're representing, at least partially. You're going to see those people every day. You're not going to see like one person out of 800,000. I'll admit, you're probably never going to see that person again. One person out of like 50,000. I mean, that is, especially if it's your own town, your home area. I think that's going to be a lot harder to avoid criticism. if you're a
Right.
representative.
And that's what we're dealing with in Reno, in Carson City, in Las Vegas right now. Is my entire representation is living in Vegas. Vegas is
Yeah.
blue. I'm red. You know, we are having a great conversation so far. This is like the best conversation I've had in 10 years.
I
But
bet.
I'm also, I'm also a Republican, and I'm seeing my representation just being drained out of my county. You
Yeah.
know, there is no representation for the farmers, the diggers, the blue collar guys.
Yeah,
And
I know. I know it should because of gerrymandering, and I think gerrymandering is really a problem. Luckily, I think a lot of Americans feel that way. So there will be most likely a gerrymandering referendum once Trump's out of office. Unfortunately, Trump did kind of kick off this whole round of gerrymandering, but I think we're gonna fix it here soon. I really do.
what makes you feel that way? What makes you feel that,
That he kicked it
it's
off.
all gonna fix without Trump?
So the reason that it won't the reason I say that he started this is because this all stems to him not having, uh, excuse me.
Oh,
This all
take your
stems
time.
from him not wanting to lose the midterms, right? Because once you lose the midterms, you're kind of a lame duck president. So, what
Of course.
he essentially told Texas to do was to redistrict and get him 5 more seats, and that's what they're doing. The same thing happened in. There's a couple other states where it happened. I think Florida did as well. Louisiana, I'm pretty sure. And so in response, California redistricted to get rid of some of their Republican representation, and so did Virginia. Tried to, didn't work. And so, yeah, I think this is horrible for our democracy. But Trump, I do admit Trump did kind of start it, but it doesn't make it like amazing. Like, I think the only reason that Democrats really started to redistrict, because if you look at California's maps beforehand, they did have Republican representation. So the reason is just because in like a purely self-defense aspect. But I don't think we're gonna have to deal with that for much longer.
Can
Probably
I
in
ask you
like
a
6
personal
years.
question? Where do you live?
I live in
Or
Kansas.
what state do you live?
Yeah, I live in Kansas.
You live in Kansas.
Yep, the great
California,
sunflower state.
if you drive through California, everybody has. Have you ever heard of the state of Jefferson?
I have, yes. I think isn't that a proposed state?
So California, just like Texas, has been trying to succeed from the nation
Oh,
for a
yes.
long time because of all of this. Like, I understand what
Well,
you're saying. We've had an incredibly, great conversation, but like, there's Republican things that, the entire state of California has been blue for so long, but they're forgetting about all the little guys.
well,
Every city in this country
there were
is blue.
before the gerrymandering stuff started, there was Republican representation, and cities, especially in California, are pretty blue most of the time. Like even in red states, they're
Oh yeah,
blue
every
typically,
city is
and
going to be blue,
well, that's
and that's what I'm
because
arguing with you. Is you live in Kansas? Do you live in a city or
no,
do you live
I live
in?
in a rural community, and
Oh, that's great.
yeah, well, I love Kansas. It's one of the best. I think it's the best state in the union. People will probably disagree, but
Okay.
I love my states. But I've experienced like we've had Republican leadership, at least in terms of our legislature, ever since I was born. We do have a Democratic governor, and there are some improvements in our community that I saw. Um, Especially in terms of like transit and crime. We saw a decrease in crime because she funded reach out program. That's besides the point. But one of the big issues is our Republican legislature, I would say. And like, let me give you an example of why I don't necessarily trust the Republicans, even on a state level. So, our judicial system right now, how it works is the governor selects somebody, right? And they serve on the judiciary for an entire year. And then the people get to vote on the judiciary. They get to vote on that candidate to see, it's kind of like a performance review, very merit based, very much like um democratic, I would say, because judges should not be politicians. But that's what the Republicans in my state want to do. They want to make my judicial system like a funnel for dark money groups, it feels like. And I know that's not like I always say, I don't hate Republicans, but it does feel like that what they want to do, what their proposed plan is, making the judges run as politicians. I think that's going to hurt rulings. I do. And I don't think money should be in our judicial system. That's what that would allow, though.
And you're a man dealing with your own problems in your own state right now, and that's how you
Oh,
feel. And you're a man that showed me that you're actually very smart because you can actually have a conversation,
Oh, well,
and not get too emotional. Just say the shit that you need to say. I'm a man in Nevada that has seen Las Vegas from the Democrats being drained from the entire state. This state, Nevada, means nothing. The only thing that means anything is Las Vegas. And
well, that's how I feel about.
that's coming
Imagine.
from the Democrat side. So
Well,
what I'm trying
imagine.
to appeal to you
Yeah,
right
sorry.
now is like, no, it's both of them. It really
Well,
is both of them. I am born and bred a Republican, but my eyes are open, and we
well, in
all
term.
have.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off. I apologize.
No,
My bad.
cut me
My
off
bad.
completely. You have a lot of passion. You're allowed to cut me off. I'm not.
Well, in
I'm not trying to
terms.
block what you say.
Oh no, you're fine. Well, in terms of like local politics, it can be very much a mix. But imagine how I live in Kansas, and the city that's named after us is in Missouri. So I kind of feel your pain, and yeah, they are much more interesting. But um, yeah, I think that a lot of the issues that we talked about can be solved with some of the solutions I propose, like uncapping the house. I also think a big issue is corporate interest, as I kind of alluded to in the reason why I'm not for this new amendment to the Kansas Constitution, um, which I just voted for today. But the reason is like I'm very much against like corporate PAC money and political action money, and not just like APAC, but like there's a bunch of different PACs that donate to all sorts
Well,
of different
actually,
candidates.
APAC is very, very small. When you look at the
Oh,
APAC numbers compared to everybody else, like APAC money is like nothing.
oh
Like
yeah,
there's
well,
people that
it's
have.
insane. No, I agree. I mean, fucking Elon Musk poured $253 million into a Wisconsin race that he lost. Like, think about this. There's so many different
Totally,
people.
totally get it. Totally get it.
And
Right.
so what
But
I
isn't
think.
George Soros doing the same thing? Like,
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
trying to fight with you right now.
No,
Like,
no, I
isn't that
agree.
the same thing on the other side?
Yeah, I
It's like
agree. Totally
we
agree.
have these people that are like pouring billions
So
into
that's
this.
why I think we got to repeal Citizens United. The Democrats are for that. And this is when national level politics kind of comes into play, is that, you know, the Democrats do, in a national sense, they do want like some of the stuff I want on a national level. I do think there should be a public option, but not just that, they are for transparency. As to where I don't feel like the Epstein files, that was a great example you brought up earlier. Where the fuck are they? And the Republicans have the power right now to run investigatory bodies and actually
Yeah, and
let the people.
that's another thing. There is 1/3 of the Epstein files that we're not going to get. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a
Oh,
Republican.
I think we
And
can
the
get
reason I
them.
don't think we're going to get it is because, number one, it's classified. Number two, I think that it's so bad that it would cripple the world because it involves so many people. And then number
Mhm.
three, you know, I don't want to say a talking point, but like, if the Democrats cared that much,
Mhm.
why didn't it come out with Biden? And don't get me wrong,
Okay.
I'm not
I
saying
can answer all
I'm
of
not
those
trying to
questions
be a
actually.
talking point right here.
No,
I'm
you're
not
good.
trying
You're
to
good. I can answer all of them. What was your first question again, though?
um I don't even
So
I
the
don't even know.
second one was, think it's gonna destroy our society. The third one was, why didn't the Democrats? What was the first one?
Um
Unless I can
no,
answer the first
my
two.
first talking point was to say I think it involves everybody. So I
Okay,
think it's like
got
a
you.
national I
All
think it's
right,
a
yeah.
national security issue, and the reason maybe Biden, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, well,
I'm
I
not
got
playing
it.
both
I can
parts of it.
actually.
Maybe Biden didn't fucking release it because it's such a national security thing.
Well,
Um,
so the
we at
reason.
least got 2/3 of it, but it's kind of like a war. Like the whole Iran war, honestly, until it's 75 years from now, we're not gonna know shit. Me and you
Well,
are just laymen.
let me.
We can have our opinions. We can study as much as we want, but we're not sitting in the control room.
So here's what I think. Let me address all your points. So number one, it's affects both sides to an extent, right? But these are a lot, and this is also to my second point I'll make here in a second. But these are fossils of the past on both sides. You don't hear about Bill Clinton. You don't hear about um, some of these old people that are in the files. Yeah, some of them still have power, and one of them especially still has power. But I don't think it's necessarily this all-encompassing web that everybody's a part of. I do agree. There's both parties are involved in
And it
this.
may not be. That's my guess. It may
Oh well, well,
very
well.
well just
Here,
implicate one
I
person.
think well, I don't think it's just one person. This is to your second point, is that I think that the information in there, it's going to be a lot of evidence that isn't necessarily something you can indict someone on. So like we could have evidence that so and so was at the party. We could even have evidence of people talking about so and so doing something to an underage person, but without a victim and without credible evidence, it's
It's
very hard to
hard.
get a
It's
conviction.
it's hard. It's all wishy washy.
Yeah,
Meanings
it's a
and
lot of
stuff.
wishy-washy, like he said,
Yeah.
she said, and then even like I think there's some damning shit about Donald Trump in there, but I don't think it's enough to put him in handcuffs, and I don't think it's enough to convince a jury, right?
The way that I felt about the Epstein or Fauci testifying in front of Congress, I'm like, just lock the man up. But it's the same thing. It's kind of like just like wishy washy.
Yeah,
It was
Fauci's a
hard for
whole.
me to watch that as a conservative. It was just like, man, this guy needs to go to jail.
Well, I think if you wanted him to talk, you got to tell Trump to stop doing all these political persecutions. I mean, Comey 8647, come on. He's not
But
trying to kill the
okay,
president. But
uh,
hold on. I
in
did
the
want to
same
answer your
vein,
last point.
don't you think that they politically persecuted him because all of this evidence is coming out, and they literally did.
But
They
that's
talked
not
about
what
the
those
Russia
indictments
thing
are
for like
for.
2 years.
So
So
I can understand having a grievance, right? I don't agree. I do think Trump broke the law. But I can understand having a grievance, okay? But that doesn't mean now you get to come around and abuse the system, because I do think what happened to Donald Trump in New York and other, I do think those were valid, but I wouldn't support, for example, Biden using, let's say Biden himself made a comment about, I don't know, Fox News, Greg Gutfeld. Greg fucking hated Biden, right? So let's
Mhm.
say Donald Trump, or not Biden made a comment about how, well, they better kick Greg Gutfeld off or we're going to have a problem, kind of like Trump did. And then the FCC starts harassing Fox, and then boom, Fox Fox instantly fire. I mean, this is just one example of corruption, but it leads to, like, I wouldn't support any amount of corruption. You know what I mean?
Yes and no.
Like, I
I
wouldn't.
don't
So
under,
if Biden did that, I was against his Hunter Biden pardons. I was against his Fauci pardon, for example. Even though I completely understand
I
and I
think the
get where they're
reason
coming
that
from.
you know what, you're absolutely right. And I think the only reason that people are accepting it right now, whether it's one side or the other, is because we truly feel like we're at war. We feel like we're at an existential fucking moment right now. So it doesn't
Well, I
matter
don't
what
want.
your guy does, and it doesn't matter what my guy does. That's like the only fighter
I
that
do
we
think
see
it does
for our
matter.
ideology.
Well,
And, sometimes Trump is indefensible at the end of the day,
yeah,
but he is the
I
only
understand.
man that has ever fucking fought for me, in my perspective. Like, I'm not saying for you. In my
Yeah.
perspective, he's the only fucking person that's ever done anything. And I think that's
So,
why my side defends the undefensible. Is because,
well,
when he took that fucking plane from Qatar, like,
yeah, we can agree
that
that was
was
pretty corrupt.
that was
Yeah, that
fucking
was like,
wild.
well, here's
And
what I want to say is that I actually hear this a lot from people. You're not alone in this thought that, you know, politicians at the time did feel very alien to a lot. They didn't feel real, especially in 2016. Obama, Obama had that, but he was still very professional, and so the first time around, a lot of people voted for Trump because he was this outsider, and they were like, "Oh, new." And he fucked up COVID, and they elected the vice president of the other guy. But what happened in 2024 was, and this is one of the big reasons that I don't hate Trump supporters, is Donald Trump sold a lie at the end of the day. He said that Biden, first he said we have the worst economy in the world. We were actually one of the most unaffected by COVID after the big push, right? After the first wave, we were one of the most unaffected. But he didn't just talk about that. He said, he's transifying the kids. Not really much evidence of that. But, I don't deny that. I'm okay with medication for people as young as probably 14. But, I don't think that's doing operations on children. And he sold this very convincing narrative and this lie that it's other people, that America doesn't, we don't have any issues here. It's other people.
I suppose
Um,
that why
and
I'm
he played
calling
on
it today
people's
is because
patriotism.
the left lied to me just like they lied to you. Is
I don't think.
the Democrats lied to me? Is Obama came out to me and I was a high schooler,
Hmm.
and Obama came out and he was like hope and change, and
Yeah.
Obama was the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. You know what
No,
Obama did to me is he screwed me.
I
He made
understand the
health care
ACA.
for everybody and he made it mandatory. I was an
So
18-year-old I was an 18-year-old man and I couldn't afford health care for myself, let
yeah.
alone anybody else. And
So I
Obama made
agree.
it mandatory for me to pay health care even though I was 17, 18 years old. And the reason he did it is to pay for, the back end of it. To pay for, I get his idea with it, but
So
no.
Yeah,
he
you
screwed
don't
me.
have to have medical insurance, although it's strongly advised. So what the ACA
Actually,
did,
no. It was mandatory. It
I don't
was
think so.
mandatory during the Obama years. You're mistaken. Oh,
Manda-
actually, that was I. I didn't mean to sound so hard, but
no, you're good.
it
I
was
don't.
ob- it
Here, let
was
me.
mandated that I, as a 17-year-old man, get health care. The only reason I had to get health care is to pay for 90-year-old motherfuckers. I didn't need health care.
Oh, okay.
Still don't need health care 20 years later.
Well,
So what if
here's what the
it's like a
ACA did, right? Because we kind of forget, perspective and hindsight 2020. So the ACA, I do agree, it was a compromise. I don't think it was. I think it was okay. And like you said, I saw what it tried to do. So what it did was like it was a compromise. So what
I'm
Obama
telling you
essentially
what it did to
the
me
deal
is it
that
hurt
hold
my
on.
life.
Well,
That hurt me.
the deal that was made was that insurance agencies, you're not allowed to discriminate anymore. And what does that mean? Well, you can't discriminate against pre-existing conditions, which is something that affects a lot of people I know. I have a pre-existing condition. Um, my mom does. My some of my friends do. And so
Actually, that's super important. I get that. Super
but it
important.
didn't, yeah, and so that was a big deal and something the you'd be surprised how hard the industries fought against it because now you have to take on a certain amount of risk, which insurance agencies historically don't like. But the ACA didn't just do that; it also prevented children, which it does sound like at the time you were dealing with a different circumstance, but what it provided was the ability for people under the age of 25 to use their parents' insurance, which I won't lie, very much benefited from that, especially in my earlier years.
That's actually cool. I get that. That's fucking dope.
But
I get
like I
that.
said, there was some other things it did. It created a marketplace for insurance, like people to go on and stuff like that. But like I said, it was a compromise. So we didn't get a public option, which is what I advocate for. And we did end up paying the insurance agencies. Now, the way we pay them is with subsidies, and that's what you saw the government shutdown originally was for. Now, I agree that the ACA was flawed. Um, and that's partly why I advocate for a public option because I don't think we should pay these insurance agencies anymore. But we're gonna need something for people that are, unable to provide for themselves in terms of medically and stuff like that. So a public option would essentially allow for people to ditch their private insurance for a cheaper, albeit a little less quality option, which I think a lot of people would appreciate. Like I'd probably do a public option if I um,
I am
had the ability.
100% with socialized Medicare. Every
Okay.
person should have free health care. All I
Yeah,
want to know
that's even more
is
radical than me.
where it's coming from. That's all I want to know. Is because my experience is yes, everybody through the ACA,
Hmm.
we had all these plans. You know where it was coming out of? It was coming out of my pocket.
That's another
As
issue.
a 17-year-old fucking boy, I had to
Well,
pay fucking $2,000 a year that I didn't have just to pay for old people to get fucking medicine. And maybe
yeah,
that's the right thing. Maybe I'm just naive. Maybe that's the way we need to do it. But it hurt me. It
I
made me struggle.
understand.
And
So,
I
yeah,
still have a unfiled tax return from that year because I still owe $2,000 for money I've never spent
yeah,
just
it's
doing
hard.
healthcare.
So, The
And
reason,
I'm not
like,
saying that the Republicans and the Democrats, nobody fucking really knows anything. That's
well,
what it really comes down
this is what
to.
I
Is
fight against. I don't like this because it disincentivizes people from learning. And see, I mean, I learned some stuff about Nevada today that I had no idea about, and maybe you learned something, I don't know, about like the ACA or something like that. But it disincentivizes learning about our political structure, and I'm very passionate about my country, and I know my country only works if people are engaged in politics. So that's why I kind of fight against that. But um, yeah, like I said, one of the issues with the ACA is we did pay for it. Now, another good thing about the public option is it would pay for itself in a way, because what's going to happen is private insurance will still exist. Private insurance is like the premium. And what a public option does is it allows for people to um not have to pay for insurance, but like I said, it's less quality. So what it does is it gets everybody in the United States using our healthcare system, therefore lowering the price because people don't have to, um, go in uninsured, for example, and then not be able to pay their debt off, and then it goes to a debtor. Yeah, so it would actually save us money in the long term, not even in the long term. We may even see initial decreases in premiums. But yeah, I don't want to pay these people anymore. I think they've shown they don't
I
give
don't
a.
either. And as a layman, I'm not a professional in this. In my experience, nobody pays their medical bills ever, ever.
Well, they pile up, and
The only people that are paying their insurance bills are the people with insurance. But
oh,
if you're uninsured, you can walk in there, go get all the help that you need.
hmm
You can receive a bill, but it's never going to affect your life.
well,
And that's my experience.
sometimes it does. They might send debtors after you, but I'm sure you'll be fine. But the issue is that and you're saying it, you can't, like, it's hard to pay those bills, right? They're expensive as hell. And so what this would allow is for, instead of that bill not being paid, it gets paid by the public option. Now that, like I
Okay,
said, you will see
let's
a tax
reverse
hike
this.
initially.
Who's getting paid?
Who's getting paid?
Who?
It would be
The
so
corporations, all the people, the
no,
United
it wouldn't
Healthcare.
be. No, so this would be taking money away from them, because instead of these agencies being able to dictate the price and do backroom deals, can't do a backroom deal with the government. You have to do that through official means. And if you are doing that, you're going to get hit with some heavy fraud charges. And so what it will allow is for a free option that they have to compete with. And you may wonder, well, how the hell do you compete with a free option? Free is free. Well, like I said, it does have to be a less quality. So, what that will mean in terms of healthcare, because obviously you don't want a shitty doctor, But what that would mean in terms of healthcare is you only get like a certain amount of appointments per year, unless you have like an extenuating circumstance or something like that. Or you only get like 3 mental health care visits a year or something like that. What premium would be, what the premium option um, would be doing is saying, okay, well, if you pay us $100 a month, you get things like I don't know what would be like, you can have as many visits to the mental health care facility as you want, and we'll pay for drugs and stuff. Obviously, all the benefits of your normal health insurance, but we'll also, like, I don't know. There's a variety of things you could
Okay,
do with that.
so
But, and the reason I cheerlead for this so hard is because it is a Democratic position. This is what all Dems want, as a public option. Some people want universal health
that's
care.
untrue. you guys have a fracture in your party within the Democrats and the DSA right now.
Well, I was actually just
What the
about to say.
DSA is offering is wild, and I
They're
don't want to
crazy.
do
Yeah,
that.
I know.
And I
No,
honestly
don't.
feel like
So
you guys are
let me put
losing
your mind at
position.
ease. So a lot of these DSA candidates were hired. Well, technically hired, but elected in very blue districts. I mean, we're talking bluest of the blue, New York, you know what I mean? And they're not, it remains to be seen if they're popular on a in like a purple district. My theory is they won't be. But what the DSA represents is there was a fraction, but before even the DSA, there were people like the Bernie Bros. There were a lot of people actually that were
No,
kind of in this
populist.
situation.
They're populist. They
Well,
just
there we go.
want to
They
see
are
a country.
populist. But I don't think so. What if the Democratic Party is dumb? Is we'll just shit on them and constantly oppose them and make their lives a living hell. That will just embolden them. What my plan is to do, and what I think is the best plan, is to uh, understand that the further left has representation now, and to treat them. You know, if they're gonna be like, I don't know, like what bills could 6 people even present that would be worth our time? I just they 6 Congress members are in the DSA now, out of like 430 something. So I'm
It
not
just seems like a
necessarily.
snowball effect. It seems like it's
Yeah, if you're
increasing.
not, well, if you're not like if the Democratic Party isn't smart, it can be. It can be like the Tea Party. It could be like MAGA if we're not careful. But I look at how the Republicans treated MAGA and the Tea Party when they first came in, and I do see some of us making those mistakes, but I do see the cooler heads prevailing. That I am, and there is a big difference in
The
the
thing is,
Republicans
though,
and the
you're running out of
Democrats.
cool heads. You're running
I don't
out.
think so.
You're
Hakeem,
you're running
I
out
think
of the
Hakeem
Bernie Sanders.
Jeffries.
You're running out of the Josh Haleys.
Well,
You're bringing
I
yourself
think
out of existence.
I think people like Shapiro, Mark Kelly, these are all very cool heads, and I disagree. I do think I think our minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, is a good leader, and there's a couple things I point to for that, but all of that is to say, I mean, I think we have some amazing candidates on our side, and um, I think it's going to be an interesting midterm, but definitely an interesting 2028. I would look into some of the more moderate Democrats, though. A lot of these DSA members are definitely getting airtime, and that's because, if you usually get more airtime if you're
Honestly,
saying
bro, you're
something
the first
crazy.
person that I've actually talked to politics that actually knows his shit in like 30
Thank you.
years, and I am just
Oh, thank you.
I am ecstatic. This is fucking great.
Well, I
This,
appreciate it.
you honestly, like I haven't talked to a Democrat that has actually had a real fucking conversation. I think this is a great back and forth,
Well,
and
I appreciate that.
I am fucking ecstatic about it. How do you? What are your feelings about Venezuela? Because I don't know. I have certain feelings. I think it was
Venezuela?
fucking yeah. I think it was fucking dope. We went in there fucking as a Republican. We went in there and fucking nabbed the president. And fucking took control of the country. That's where I'm
Oh.
at. As
Well, I don't
and
like this
my
idea of like
understanding,
taking control of.
propaganda aside, is like they were giving, and it could be propaganda. I'm not trying to like spew fucking talking
No,
points
you're
here.
good.
Um, is like they were giving fucking oil to Russia and all that
Oh yeah,
crap.
definitely. And
And
Iran
then
and
we went in
yeah.
there and fucking just took a president in a day. I think that's fucking
So
really cool.
yeah, I'm kind of mixed on Venezuela, right? A lot of my fellow liberals kind of scoff at that, but the reason I'm kind of mixed on that is because yes, Maduro did do a lot of horrible shit. He was trading with our enemies, and Venezuela hadn't had a real election in years, due to President Maduro. They are very much they were very much involved in the drug going ons and drug dealing. Now that being said, I don't support what we did, and there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I don't believe in this idea of imperial. I believe in soft power and only using hard power when we necessarily need to. For example, I think it would have been smart to use our hard power in Ukraine, personally. But that's besides the point. But I am a
Okay.
big believer in soft power. So what I would have preferred is if we did somehow get real elections to go on. But I understand they are an adversary. So let's say I even agree with nabbing him up. He did commit crimes and all that. Let's say I do kind of agree with that even. The problem now, and this is really at the root of it, is that we are not allowing their government to function properly. We haven't really been clear as of when elections are going to be. And remember, we did this all under the casus belli, which means, the cause of.
Hmm.
The reason we did it is because of this idea that Maduro had usurped his democracy. And that, that was a big reason.
The idea of why we did it is completely wrong. Completely wrong. It's all fake. We could go 50 years. We're not gonna
No.
know actually why they did.
Well, I do think that, like you said, they were dealing, they were allies with our adversaries. I make no doubt about that. But the issue is that now we're not really letting their country continue as it should. Delcy Rodrigo, who is the current acting vice president,
Okay. Why should
is,
we let their continue country as it should if they're dealing our country drugs and weapons and they're
well,
arming our adversaries?
so what
Why
I
should
mean
we let
by
it continue?
letting their elections, there should be elections, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Obviously, and so we
Absolutely.
need to let those happen. And right now, as I was saying, Delcy Rodrigo is the acting VP. She's deathly afraid of America for good reason, obviously.
Yeah, no shit.
But she's deathly
Yeah.
afraid. And so here's where the issue is, though. Some things America may not agree with, as in like voter security. I don't think people would want CIA, same fears we have here about voting security. They wouldn't want America to run the elections and stuff like that. Those have to be free and fair. And something else is that we are getting reports that Marco Rubio is basically running the country like a viceroy. Like somebody who is
Like
not.
some Star Wars fucking character is fucking
Now he really is
wild.
like
It
he's like.
really is wild. I get it. Get
Yeah,
it.
and so we gotta allow these elections to happen. But I think
Yeah,
that
but if the election
I do
hasn't
think,
happened, like, why doesn't America step in? Like, if the
well, because
election
we don't
hasn't
want it
happened
to.
in like 30 years, okay, just before the Iran war, fucking, they got 45,000 people just murked, just dead.
No, yeah. So Venezuela's not as far gone as Iran, and I don't mean that in like, obviously there's a lot of war in the Middle East and stuff, but Venezuela did have a democracy for a very long time before. I believe his name was Hugo Chavez. And Maduro was the second in, like, Hugo's second in line. But this is all
But
essentially
instead
to
of
say that we can.
democracy, I think that's where you're failing. Like, I'm
Huh?
trying to be 1,000% honest. Like, was that
Me
a
too.
democracy? Was
Well,
it?
no, no, well, during Hugo Chavez, when Hugo Chavez got elected for the first time, yeah, I do think it was a democracy. He had a very populist, brain rotty well, it wasn't even populism and especially social populism is very popular in Latin America. So I think Hugo, for his first couple elections, did win. Towards the end, no, he was being president for life. And the same is obviously true with Maduro. But I do think that there is potential to have votes. There's obviously, people do come out to vote. And Maduro's opposition, Machado, she won the last election. It's just Maduro wouldn't give up power. And so there is very much an option for democracy there. They have the institutions for it. The only question is, will America allow it? Because some candidate could get elected that is not very happy about what happened to Maduro, or a candidate that is very friendly towards the United States.
Well, do
I
you
would
think
obviously
war
prefer the
could be
latter.
necessary?
Huh?
I'm going to tell you the Republican principle about this. All right. The reason I'm standing on my ground as a Republican, as a conservative, is because this could all be wrong. I'm just a layman. I just want to
Yeah,
tell you where I'm at as a person.
of course.
Um, Venezuela was selling all of their fucking oil to Russia, and no, just to Russia.
Well, it was to
So
China too.
we created
China.
a blockade.
Sorry.
China. We created a blockade. Then we went into Iran, and Iran
Mm-hmm.
was selling all of their equipment to Russia. Iran was selling all the Shahed drones to Russia. And as a Republican, as a conservative, I just watched, in my opinion, I just watched him create an entire new world stage. Like, he went into
So,
Venezuela, and then
yeah.
he nabbed that president, and then he went over to Iran, and he blockaded all of China's oil. And I could be wrong. Like, I'm not trying to.
No, no, you're good. I even see a certain logic to it. And yeah, so I think Russia may not be the exact I think China is the concern of the administration as far as like geopolitically. The issue is we're kind of going about this wrong. So, in terms of Venezuela, right? Venezuela um does have oil that is very valuable,
They have the
obviously, to
biggest
the U.S.
oil
economy. Yeah,
reserve in the
biggest,
world.
and our
They do.
factories do. Our factories do take it. Problem with Venezuelan oil right now is that it is the infrastructure sucks. That's because they did not maintain it very well.
Yeah, and
Okay?
Chevron went in there a year and a half ago and fucking took it over, and they're building infrastructure as we speak, right?
No. I unless maybe I'm unaware of it, but last time I checked, there were no investments, heavy investments. Maybe Chevron
Uh,
did. Maybe
I
I'll look
believe you're
into it.
wrong in this. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but I do believe that you are wrong.
Yeah, I'll
The
look into
second that we took over Maduro, um, all of the oil companies went over there and they created like trillions of dollars.
Oh, no, no.
And
So
we're
what
not.
happened? Yeah, so what happened was there was a meeting between top oil execs and Donald Trump, and they did kind of tell him to fuck off. Now, I am seeing that Chevron, a piece here from last year saying Chevron was granted license to operate in Venezuela. I'm not seeing anything. Okay, so it does look like Chevron is in there. So, I mean, that's good, but I'd be
That's what
wondering.
I mean.
I mean, I'm just if I was Chevron, I'd be careful because there are a lot of well, I would call them. There's a lot of gangs and terrorism, like can become similar,
Absolutely.
especially.
And the Republican perspective, or the perspective that I'm trying to say is like, yeah, we went over there and nabbed the guy. Now we're taking over all of the oil production for that country.
So
And that's what I've seen.
I
And
don't
then we
think
went over there
that's
and we
how we
blocked
should.
Cuba.
Okay, sorry.
Why do you think we blocked Cuba? The only reason we blocked Cuba is because of Russia. Is because Russia was fucking
So
importing a bunch of fucking weapons into Cuba. And then
so
what did we do right after that? Is we
let
went
me
into Iran, and then we choked off the stranglehold that Iran had over, or China had over Iran. Iran
well
was selling
can
to,
I
in
yeah,
my
do you mind if
perspective,
yeah,
there.
I gotta jump in here at some point. I apologize, but go on. Sorry, you just
Hey,
mentioned in a lot of points, and I want to engage with them, and they're interesting.
no, engage, bro. You're the only
Yeah.
person I've ever known to actually fucking engage. Let's do it.
So, I did not know. I'm reading now. It was granted by Elliott Investment Group. There's a whole weird thing with that. But anyways, let's move on to Iran. All right, let's move out of South America for a moment. Let's go to Iran because I
Okay.
do know you mentioned that. So the issue with our strategy in Iran is that it's not working. We're not, as a matter of fact, they are hurting us a lot more than it seems like we're hurting them. Now, we're fucking up their leadership, we're fucking up their military bases. But what's the thing about Iran that is kind of unique, right? They use proxy forces and they train proxy forces. So they are much more well equipped to deal with the threats that we present because they are so. This is the type of warfare they've trained and prepared their nation for. There's a reason they have bunkers underground. There's a reason they put all their stuff in mountains. It's because they knew something like this would come someday. If
Yeah.
excuse me, if America wasn't as diplomatic, let's just say, so they knew it. So I don't think it's working. I do think that there are still large amounts of munitions that we are not aware of that could wreak havoc and are wreaking havoc on our neighbors. That's the next point I want to talk about is our allies. We didn't involve any of our allies except for Israel. Now, I don't deny Israel's an effective ally, but why not involve Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia doesn't like Iran. Qatar doesn't like Iran. Um, so many different Middle Eastern countries don't really like Iran. And so it wouldn't
None
be
of those
that
were our
hard.
allies until this war got
No,
started.
Qatar is and Saudi, they were totally on America's side.
I believe you're wrong.
No, not at all.
I,
We
I,
signed tech deals with Saudi. Qatar obviously gave them that jet. No, we were
I
totally friends with.
understand that completely.
We had
I
defensive
understand that
pacts and
completely.
all that type of
The
stuff. We
reason
had
I'm supporting
batteries in
Donald
their
Trump right
military
now is,
bases. Sorry.
go ahead.
Oh well, we had Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, more or less are allies of the United States. We have military bases there. We have air defense systems there. We're much more friends with Israel, obviously. But yeah,
Now,
what?
now, that's all it is now. And that's another reason that I'm going to talk about Trump is because although he loosened ties on every other, partner, we've gained ties within every regional state within, within the boundary. The
Well,
Abrahamic Accords, it's revolutionary. It's fucking crazy.
so the Abraham
We were
Accords,
friends
I
with
do think
UK.
were a
The
good
UK
idea.
did not help us. We were friends
So,
with
well,
Germany. Germany
listen,
didn't
listen.
help us.
Think about what we could have done with this war. If we would have planned it, let's say we wait 3 months, okay? We don't get a deal after that initial part. They're not going to be able to enrich the uranium within 3 months. We take 3 months and then we campaign. Trump and Rubio, or Trump is out there saying we need to go to war. Obviously, I wouldn't sign on to it. I don't really think this is the best plan, but just to paint a picture of how this could have went better. Okay.
Gotcha. We're
So
going to work.
yeah, so let's say we take 3 months while Trump is doing that, selling it to the American people like they need, like he should. Marco Rubio goes to all of these nations, right? Because Marco Rubio, he's our head of state, goes to all of these Middle Eastern nations, starting with Saudi, Qatar. And he says, we got to deal with this Iran problem,
Yeah,
but
man.
we don't
Wait,
want.
I get it.
Yeah, but hold on though. Think that we could also, involve Israel and get them together and do strikes that are, or a coalition, and integrate the Israelis with, I think that would be a better Abraham Accord, because there's a certain honor amongst people earned in warfare and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just feel like
How do you feel about the 40,000 people that were just executed in Iran?
it's heartbreaking, but we're not getting rid of the regime that caused that. We're making them stronger. Because now a lot of the people that were at those rallies are now at the rallies for the regime. When an invading force attacks, it does unify the people.
100%.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Because I am getting pretty late in my
Dude,
show
honestly,
here.
you get back to your live stream. You got fucking money to make. Honestly, I have fucking enjoyed our conversation.
Oh, well,
You're
thank you.
like
I
the
really
last
appreciate
fucking
it.
person that I can actually fucking talk to. It doesn't matter. Me and you have our disagreements, but what I will say is you're one of the last fucking people that can actually have a disagreement and a conversation at the same time. Every person that I talk to, doesn't matter if I disagree with you, just runs from it. And you
Well,
are a strong man. You are a good man. I don't agree with everything that you're saying, but I agree with what you're doing. And I support you. And even though you're on the other side of it, I'm going to support you every step of the way.
thank
You
you
are
so
a good
much.
voice in the community. You are a strong voice. You sat here and talked to me for 2 hours about my fucking crap. And we still haven't come to a fucking agreement. But
That's
you know
okay.
what? We're going to talk again
All right.
one of these days. So,
Well, yeah.
you keep killing it out there, bro.
Thank you.
I love
appreciate
you.
it.
I
love you too.
fucking love you to death. You are a strong man. You're a good man. Me and you have our just differences, but you're a real one.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it. Well, you have a great night, and I very much appreciated this conversation as well. Take care.
there's not a lot of people that can talk on the phone for 2 hours and just shoot the shit. So
Well,
you're a
thank
good
you.
man, bro. I love
Thank
you.
you.
I'll talk
I
to you later.
appreciate it. Take care. That was very sweet. I really appreciate conversations like that. But like I said, I do have to get on up out of here, skedaddle on up out of here like a I don't know, what does a little skedaddling? What does a little skedaddling? Anyways, I just got a re-up on my medication, and I'm noticing my eyes are just fucking, they're kind of they're a little dilated. I hate when this happens when I get my meds re-upped. But anyways, I really appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you for the $2, Shavila. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Shout out to Shavila. Well, I am gonna get on up out of here, folks. I'm gonna send you guys on over somewhere though, so don't go anywhere. Don't you dare go anywhere, all right? Because I'm going to be rating you into someone, probably Pisco. I think Pisco's live right now. Let me see who's live real quick. Probably Pisco, though. I think I saw him go live. And, never mind. the hell? You went live for 30 minutes, bro. It looks like Tom is having a call-in stream soon. Let's see. I do like that. Now that I have a bigger platform, I like recommending different creators and stuff like that because that's the only way we're going to survive, folks. The only way. Let's see what we got here. Let's see who we got on deck. We've got IRI. IRI is live. Go check out IRI. I haven't rated into him. Anyways, have a great day, guys. Let me get the music playing and we'll get on up out of here. I'll mosey on myself up on out of here. All right. But thank you guys so much for the donations. Shavila. Shout out to Shavila and shout out to Aussie Welder. I appreciate you guys. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. I might call into Tom's show. You know what? I'm actually going to raid into Tom's show. He'll probably go live like immediately right after I get done streaming. Harassing away a couple. Oh no! Oh no! I'm sorry to hear about that, Kayla. I'll message you. That's so sorry to hear that. I'm gonna go right into Tom though. I'm sure he's about to go live as we're speaking. So have a great day, gamers. I will see you all tomorrow. Tom is always late. I know. Oh, trust me, I know. Anyways, have a great day, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tell Tom I said what's up. I'll probably call in at some point. Have a great day, gamers. Goodbye. Have a great night. Good night, Leela. Good night, Khan. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you.